Are we live? It says
Yeah.
live, doesn't it? Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? Rob here from Ram Studio Comics, and today we got special guests David Finch and Clayton Barton. I'm sure neither one of them need any introduction, but it's kind of my job to do that anyway. So, David has worked on titles like Batman, Moonknight, co-creator. Or do you say creator or co-creator of Ascension?
Co-creator.
Co-creator, okay. And so obviously, and tons of other accolades throughout some of the major titles. Obviously, he also has a new art book that you can check out. It's linked in the description box below, as well as Clayton's book, Kozor. And yeah, so support their projects. Look in the description box below. They're here today to offer their guidance and expertise in drawing comics and to help you spot some flaws. And yeah, we're just very fortunate that they're dedicating that time. And yeah, so without further ado, if there's anything you guys want to say, or we'll start bringing some people in. What do you think?
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's been too long, and it's going to be great to be able to do this with Clayton because I've watched a lot of your review stuff that you do on howtodrawcomics.net, and it's always so well done. I feel like it's, it's going to be a big help. So
thanks so much, Dave. It's a huge honor to be here with the both of you. I admire both of you so much. So
same here.
It's great to be part of it.
Yep. Back at you guys. You guys have been huge inspirations. Yeah, and I forgot to mention Clayton's site, website, and Facebook group, howtodrawcomics.net, is an amazing resource, and we all try to contribute to it. Tons of great talent on there that share their art, and you get essential feedback from other artists, which is great. So yeah, definitely check that out as well. And let's see. Yeah, we've got some people here. So I totally forgot how to do this, but we'll figure it out. Let's bring some people in. Don't we got like a backstage or something?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah. We'll just roll with it.
Just roll with it. Let's see. Where's the backstage? Private chat?
I think
it should be down the bottom.
Oh, you know what? No. I'm sorry. I gotta put the invite in the chat, don't I?
Right. Yep.
Sorry, everybody. It's been a minute. I'm a little nervous. I don't know what's going on here. We'll get there.
It's okay. It's that realness.
Hold my hand. Hold my hands, guys.
This is what we get though for leaving it off for so long.
I know.
Waited too long.
We need to practice the
the
habits forming. Okay, here's the link to join the Streamyard. Let's see that work, people. And please wait patiently in line. No bumping, no kicking, no pushing, scratching. David Finch is the legend. Nice comment from TBG.
Well, thank you very much.
Robert, boomeranging again? I don't understand the reference. Does that mean I'm winging it? Is that what that is? 3 comic gods. Okay, that's a bit much. Designs.
Wow.
Oh, there we go. We got a couple right there. And Tomic right up front. So let's bring him in and see what he's got. Designs. Tomic. Oh, there we go. We got a couple right there.
Hey, Dave.
Hey,
hi. How are you?
So what's up, man? And see what he's got.
Oh man, it's been a while.
Tomic. Oh, there we go.
Been too long.
Oh, you got your headphones, bud? We're hearing reverb from the. You got to turn your speakers down and put your headphones on if you can.
Let me see if I can share this.
Yeah, so for anybody else, go ahead, bud. So for anybody else watching, it's good to put your headphones on, turn your output speakers down, and then it eliminates any reverb. Sometimes it's not an issue, which I don't understand, but it's best just to do it if you got them. So, okay, so Tomic, you got some art to show us, bud?
Yep.
Let's see it.
Oh, it's been a while. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see if this works.
You're going to share it right there.
Is it showing up?
Well, yeah, but what I'm seeing right now is a folder with. Is that what you want to show? The folder?
Yeah.
Looks like you just got one of your windows open with a list.
Let's see.
Just waiting to see the actual artwork.
All this technology, hey?
Mm-hmm.
It's a wonderful thing, but it's so confusing.
Exactly.
This is the most confusing thing.
All right, looks like your window's changing. What do you got there?
It's working.
Let me add it to the stream, but it looks like Yeah, we got a blank window there.
Oh, there you go. Did it work?
Just seeing a black window there. Let me see if there's another window popping up. That's the only one I'm seeing from you. Do you have two screens? Do you have two windows open?
I only have one. Let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna do this instead. Let me see if I can share.
Let me remove it and then I'll add it back.
I've heard that sound a lot.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Let's see. Or for now, I can just let someone go in.
Yeah, so we'll I
sure.
think we can bring you back. I hope it's but yeah, try to get that figured out. Unless you've got artwork you can hold up to the camera, we've done that before. It is a little bit harder to see that. But
Okay.
I'm afraid if I take you out, it's going to put you at the back of the line.
Let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna open this window, and that's gonna work better.
Cool.
Okay.
Here we go. Wait, no, that's my artwork. Hey,
I was studying that.
you're getting really good. No, I'm kidding.
Looking great.
Okay, let me just go to here.
Team fight tactics.
Hopefully, this can work better.
All right, we'll get better at this, folks. If you're watching and you're impatient, don't be. It takes time.
Oh gosh.
We're getting there.
It does.
I just do this.
Come on, Tomic, pull up your Instagram, something. You got plenty of stuff to show.
Workstation. There you go. On it.
Found it.
Oof, that took a while.
Come on, load.
There we go.
There you go.
And there we go. All right. Oh, it went away.
Lots of suspense.
Oh, wait, hold on. It's coming. There we go.
Okay. All right. There we go. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I've seen this page, and yeah. So go at it, guys. I've seen this one. It looks good. Let's see what you guys think.
Okay, so I'm going to say the top panel, first of all, the buildings are beautifully drawn. I like how you put in line weight and they look nicely sized. I will say my concern, though, is just with perspective. Here. Hopefully I can do this without this breaking.
You're gonna break stuff? This is awesome.
See if
Dave's
it's
gonna get nuts. Start breaking stuff.
Okay, it's working. All right.
Oh, did they do a little fade in? That was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
That's my OBS. Very fancy.
Wow.
That sounds like a irritable stomach problem. My OBS. Sorry, I don't have good jokes, just bad ones.
That's a good joke.
Okay, so
That's all I got.
you've got your panel basically like this.
Oh, let me make your window larger. I think I can do that. I hope. How do I do that?
And actually, if you could bring back Tomic's just quickly, so I can.
Sorry.
Just while I'm sketching it in. Okay. So
Right
you've
there?
got one point. It looks like just about here, and then you have everything kind of angled this way, like this, and then your other point seems to be just about. I want to say here, and so your horizon. It looks like you're adjusting your horizon this way. And that's fine, but then it's a little difficult for me to say, okay, this is exactly why your buildings, because on the right with that clock tower, things got very strange. So let me try and just kind of rough these in quickly and see what happened there. Got another building here. Now, right away, you're angling there. make sure that I'm still in the, okay. And that would be just about like this. Got some more buildings here. This one here. And then now your clock tower, you've got it here. And here's the face. It's fairly large, but that's going to be there. And then you ended up with a really drastic perspective in here that looks very strange. And I think it's because you're coming so close to that point, it would be really narrow. And so if you made that much, much more narrow, that would not look anywhere near as odd. And you can see how that kind of eliminates that really strange ledge that you have there. And also the ledge to me on the side of that building looks like, even though you have a really extreme perspective, the actual ledge doesn't really seem like it's getting smaller. It seems like it's pretty well about as wide here as it is here. So at that angle, it would get much smaller. Really though, you want your buildings, like these ones are fine. This one here, I think is fine. This one's fine. It's this building here where you're extending too far back. And that's a real problem when something gets far enough over, when you're looking at so much of the front of something, you really wouldn't see much of the side at all. And if you do see the side, you end up with odd things like that happening.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I was looking at Robert's videos, and I just recently learned that the same thing that we just talked about. I was like, oh, that's how you do it. And now it's something I can improve on.
Okay, great. Yeah, and you know what? You have to do it that way and let that happen. It's the only way to fix those problems is to make the mistake first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. And what's happening on the bottom panel of that page?
Let me see. Go down.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so as far as the feedback I've got for you, it's more to do with maybe the panel layout. Sometimes these things are hard to pin down, but what I've noticed is you've got a really good sequence that makes sense. Like there's this open window, the lady is changing her baby, and she hears something sees something out the corner of her eye maybe.
Yeah.
And starts to turn around. So that all makes sense. I think it's more to do with making the shots more engaging and more riveting, because this almost looks like a storyboard in some sense. Like the character is very centered in those two panels in the middle. And even though you've got that contrast of scale there, where we've got a medium shot in the third panel there, and then a closer up shot in the fourth panel. I think if you could maybe change up the size of those panels, stretch some of them out, elongate others, and sometimes this is a style that certain artists will go for or not go for. You know, you've seen those comic book pages where it's like 6 panels, all the exact same size. Very old school way of laying things out. But if you want to make it more dynamic and engaging, mess around with the sizing of those panels and also their composition as well. Figure out how you can stack them in a more exciting way. And I think that'll... Because as I said, she's placed right in the middle there, and I feel like that can sometimes lead to a cool shot, but somewhat of a boring shot. Like it can be more exciting. You know, how to draw comics to Marvel, right? Like always push it to the limit.
Yeah.
So I think if you stretched out maybe that fourth panel just above the last one, for example, and you zoomed really close into her face in that panel, so that you could just see her eye like looking out the corner, right? Like that would have so much more impact. Even though the impact is raised because it's zoomed in a little bit, it could have even more impact. You know what I mean? The establishing shot is great too, but it's just the window's smack bang in the middle of second panel. She's smack bang in, again, the third panel, and then fourth panel right in the middle there. So split your panels up into thirds, and remember you can put the main point of focus in any panel on one of those thirds. You know about the rule of thirds?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great, tool that you can use to plot character placement out in panels. Does that make sense? I'm just warming up here.
Yeah. So
No, I
recently
think that's a good point.
I recently bought a Marcus Mateo Mestra book for
Gotcha.
paneling, and
Yeah.
I was looking through it, and I was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it. So you have to. There's a sequence of point on. You can make it on this side, this side. It's just like on each corner, or like in the
Yeah.
front.
Totally. Yeah, try that out for sure, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, your full like scene shots, like with the buildings in that top panel and the bottom panel, like I love the details you've included in there. Even that second panel with the heater underneath the video, great detail. Like that's what makes the world you're illustrating more believable. So you're definitely on the right track in regards to that.
Yeah, great detail. And I mean, he's 16, right? You're 16, aren't you, Tomic?
Yeah, in 8 days I become 17.
Right. Well, really try to draw as much as you can for those next 8 days. But no, you're doing fantastic for your age, man. I mean, I really got to say that. I wish I was that good when I was 16. So just keep it up, and just remember, stay consistent and don't stop. Whatever you do, you might get disenchanted at some point or whatever. If that happens, just stay at it. You can go as slow as you want. Just don't stop, and you'll be grateful that you did that. It's all about that consistency. Were you going to say something, Dave?
Yeah, I just want to say with the last panel, it looks to me like you've got a couple of windows there.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're trying to shadow things from those windows. This is the panel on the bottom. And so you've got a few different light sources. You've got a light coming from, it would be the doorway, where that figure, there's a shadow on the floor. But then you have an opposite shadow on her. And it ends up being kind of all over the place. And I really think you would be much better off if you want to have that shadow on the floor in the foreground, to just use that as your main light source. And then the windows would just appear as light. And what you could actually do is you could have made that window behind her head just a little bit larger, maybe tilted the camera just a little bit so she's directly in front of it, and use that to frame her so it's light around her. And then it's a dark room and you see that shadow in a doorway frame on the floor. That would have worked. But I mean, I have to respect just how much work you put into trying to make all of those shadow angles work, but you really do need in a panel to pick one angle. Otherwise you end up with a lot of trouble.
Yeah, the thing I noticed is when I was lighting her, I saw the door. So I was like, okay, light's coming through the door. But I afterwards I realized, oh wait, it's going this way, so it wouldn't make any sense. And I was like, now I know what I did wrong. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. And another problem that you have to do it.
Yeah.
Go, okay, that's what happened.
Yeah.
I learned to fail before I succeed.
Yep. You got it. Yeah.
That's the attitude.
And the thing is, it does have a very dark, eerie feeling with that shadow on the floor. But what you could have did there, say you had to pick the light source that's behind her, and you got the shadows conveying from everything coming towards the viewer. You could have did a eerie silhouette of the shape of the character coming into frame. So you could have still used that silhouette kind of thing where you don't quite know, you haven't hit the big reveal yet. But I do like the eerie shadow on the floor as well. So it's like maybe I would even pick that for the shadow and went the other way. I don't know. But either way, you're putting a lot of great detail in there, and just keep it up. You'll zero in on those things for sure.
And then we go to page 2, which comes right here.
The Batman.
It's a nice looking shot of Batman. I love the Batarang, the way you've got the rope kind of coming out. It's really nicely done.
Yeah, very cool.
Definitely take Dave's tips on this one, because he's seen a lot of Batman over the years, right?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. And again, the buildings really nicely detailed, and they look great.
They're gorgeous.
They're a little flat for me.
Yeah.
Easily. Now, it's fine, but I don't think I would have lined it up directly vertical and horizontal to the page. I would have, even if you had just angled it like a 45 and done the same shot, I think it would have had a little bit more impact that way. So there's that. But I do think the Batman figure, all in all, works very, very well. I think the lighting is good and looks pretty consistent. I can see a few places on his far arm, the one that's higher in the page, I can see a pretty good dark shadow right along the top of that arm there, in the center of the upper arm, that I think wouldn't be there because that's where your light is. So a few things like that just to be aware of, but all in all, very, very well done. And a nice pose.
It's a tough pose to pull off. Very dynamic.
Yeah, it is.
It reminds me of Todd McFarlane's Amazing Spider-Man in some ways, especially that foot.
Right. Yeah, definitely the foot.
And then we go to, let me see the last page. Let me pull this one up.
Yeah. The bottom eyes there on that panel remind me of something Capullo might do, or kind of something he probably learned from McFarlane. The kind of basic shape, kind of language.
Yeah. I love Capullo. He's one of the best influences for me too.
Yes. And I'm seeing some Kevin Nolan in that cape just above it.
Yeah, I stole from him too.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, nobody could call that a swipe, but that's one of my favorite shots. The shot that I know you were looking at, and I've taken it so many times, so I think it looks great. I feel like there's a certain sense of, in your panels, you've got the close-up behind Batman's ear, very nicely done. The crib is nicely done. You've got the shadow. I think all that really works, but you're really pushing that crib out really far away, like it's a massive, massive room. And then in the next panel, your extents are just going, I think, too far. You really kind of need to bring things in a little bit more.
Yeah, I like the way you have sized up your panels and organized them there, though, as opposed to that previous page we went over. I feel like this one's kind of stacking them in a more interesting way.
Yeah.
That could just be my personal preference there, though. Because
no, I think you're right. It has a little bit better use of negative space or something.
Yeah.
Aside from what Dave said, where everything's kind of drawn out a little too much, but you're filling up more of the panels, which makes it look and feel more interesting. But yeah, sometimes you have to be careful, like, overlapping your art and your forms inside of your art have to look, when you overlap, generally you get a more realistic vibe to the room, I think.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting tips from Brett Booth on how to panel better storytelling, and it worked. It worked a lot better.
Yeah, it was on Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I've seen some of those back and forths. That's pretty cool that he stopped to do that. It's got to be one busy guy as well.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's busier than Dave, and he's here, so we're pretty lucky there.
Oh, we're all pretty busy.
And hey, I like that third last panel, actually. The place you position Batman's head, and then you've got the crib there. They look like they'd be smack bang on some thirds. So that's a really well composed shot, I think. But then, somewhat building on what Dave said with the crib in the following panel, there's a possibility that that's kind of looking like it's being pushed out of the panel because it's not sitting on one of those thirds. It's kind of pushed all the way over to the edge of the panel. So if you were to bring that back in, sit it on one of the panels, maybe have Batman rescaled so that his head is sitting on that top last third in the panel. I don't know how strictly you have to stick to it, but if you can get it in the ballpark, that could help just the readability of where everything's placed.
Yes. And one other thing I want to say too is you've got the woman, she's laying on the ground in the third panel, and then there is her arm that's on the ground in the second panel, and her arm and leg actually connect together across panels, and it looks like she's got a hand on the end of her leg as a result. So really need to be careful about that kind of thing.
I saw that when I was looking at it, and I was like, I wanted to erase it, but I couldn't erase it, and I was like, oh, it's a tangent.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, nice storytelling, nicely designed on the page, and it is true. I think that third panel, it could be just a little bit far. I think it's all right. You're within the bounds, but all in all, I think it's great. Now, I will admit, the top panel, I can see that her hand is resting below the panel. It's not a fair criticism, I know. Stylistically, I don't generally like that though, just because it really takes me out of it. It's like the panel edge would be a ledge that her fingers are kind of resting over because everything else is flat to it. So I personally wouldn't do that. I don't think it's the end of the world though.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny because some of this stuff is, even if you're getting advice from artists who have been doing it for a few years, and even pro artists like Dave, it's like some of this stuff can be subjective. So you've got to, I don't know, take it with a grain of salt. I feel like everything I'm saying is all subjective, like it's just my opinion. But if you can use any of it to help improve your pages, I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah, for sure. And I know, trying to break in, I got a lot of advice I disagreed with, put it that way.
All right.
And sometimes you just have to try and just be honest with yourself as much as you can and disregard the things that aren't helpful, but don't just dismiss them out of hand. That's all. And I mean, I don't think that you do that. So I think you're fine. But
yeah, you're a very open person, I can tell. Very open to learning. So that's awesome. You're going to go a long way.
Really are, yeah. Keep it up, man.
Thank you.
Well, these look great, Tomic. We appreciate you showing up. And everybody check out Tomic's work. He's got an Instagram, and support and follow his work and watch him grow over the years. And Tomic, thanks again. We're going to move on to the next one. Keep up the great work, buddy.
Have a nice day.
You too.
You too.
Thanks, Tomic.
All right, so now I hope I click the right buttons. Hello, Eric.
Hey.
Hey, Eric.
Hey, guys.
Hi, how are you?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
we can.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
Sounds good.
Man, I'm glad to be here. Thanks for doing this, guys. You guys are awesome.
Oh, yeah, pleasure. Thanks for
Anytime.
being here.
And thanks to SCS Powerlift for the super chat there. I think that's what you call it. But thanks so much for the support. Sorry, Eric. So how are you going to share your work today, bud?
Okay, so I've got 3 images that were scanned, and they're in a picture file right here next to me. So I'm hoping
Share your screen.
I can share the screen and we can pull this up.
Let's try it. Takes a minute to pop up here.
Entire screen, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can go with that. It's usually a pretty short deal with the entire screen. As long as there's nothing on there that you don't want to show.
Right. Nothing too nothing too provocative, please.
How about this? There we go. That'll work.
Where is it? Where is it? I don't see it. Where is it? Oh, right there. Okay, I see let me add it. And
Okay.
yes, there we go. That was a bit faster than the last one. We're getting better at this, folks.
Yep.
Okay. Top Cow. You work for Top Cow?
One thing I wanted to say, I kind of went back and forth about this. I almost didn't want to share this because I'm doing the talent hunt thing. But honestly, this is the best stuff I've got to date. So
That's what you got to show, your best stuff.
And I've been putting work on it. So
great.
Let's see it.
Yeah.
Suspense is killing us. Come on. Double click.
So here's one of the pages. Is it showing?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, if you it should open up in that same window. Is it pop?
It's not showing up in the same window. It's showing up in a different one.
Can you drag it over?
Oh.
When it pops up in that other window, can you drag that over to this screen?
Did you
Maybe
share your screen or your window?
Oh, that's what it looks like. You're right, Clayton. Good eye. It looks like you shared the window. So try to share the screen.
Can I?
How many screens do you have? I'm going to remove it real quick.
Go back.
Yeah, and then just when you do it again, just hit share screen instead. That way, when you get a pop up, it'll pop up.
Yeah, let me remove that and go ahead and do it again. But yeah, you're gonna do share screen. not share window. You only have one screen, right?
Oh, okay. I see what I did wrong.
Okay.
Okay.
But now you're sharing the stream.
Yes.
That's okay.
That's okay.
If you just get your your artwork up in front of it, you'll be all good.
Okay, there we go. Gotcha.
Is that working?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just zoom in and
There we go.
go. Nice.
I know you can't see us.
Here's what it was. I kind of, like I said, I wanted to kind of keep this.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But I wanted to show the best stuff I had.
Of course.
Wow, that first panel looks amazing.
It does. Now, I'm going to be completely honest and say that you are shooting the gun into the people that are just beyond, but with the gun placed where it is, it's really kind of crowding that element. You would have been better off to have them lowered down in the panel a little bit and then the gun pointing down so you're looking up at the gun, so it would give them their own space. Or the other way, you know, if the gun, if you're just above the person shooting, but having it at the exact same level like that and having the gun directly on top of them, I think it's a real mistake. It makes it very, very crowded, but you know, nicely done. And you know, it's the gun looks nice and dimensional.
Yeah, I like the guy.
Thank you.
as
I
well.
struggled with that angle a little bit.
It can be tough, dynamic angles like that. I think the best thing you can do if you're dealing with a tough shot like this, like trying to get everything in there, start out as rough as possible, zoom all the way out if you're doing it digitally. Are you doing it digitally or traditionally?
This is traditional.
Okay, cool. So that can be a little tougher, but keep it as rough as you can and as fast as you can in the beginning, and just get those character placements down first and foremost and positioned correctly. Because once they're down, it's so easy, and they're in the right place, it's so easy to just build on top of it. But if you don't have them spot on in the beginning, that placement of everything, that's when you run into trouble later on down the line, and it just stays there. It's like a flaw that exists well into the final presentation. So if you can nip it in the bud during that foundational stage, saves you so much time. And yeah, especially for complicated scenes, and just keep on erasing and redoing it quickly until you've got it nailed. But
I wish I had thought about that different angle.
yeah, that's okay. That's okay.
Now,
And,
one other thing I would say, just before you move on from that panel, is I notice just above the gun there are two pipes, and they are parallel with each other, so they're not actually in perspective. And it looks like the gun is pretty well in the same angle, so you haven't actually got perspective drawn in there, and it makes it very apparent just there. Now, and I got to be honest, I'm homing in on that panel a lot because the next panel I think looks really nice.
Right.
I think it looks great. I love the dog. Some of the folds look really good. Like, it's a nice looking panel, and there's some nice things going on, but it's definitely another one that would really stand out to me that I'm not seeing actual perspective there.
yeah,
I got you.
and
Well, it probably doesn't help that I didn't put a background in on that one.
No, that panel's fine. I mean, panel 1. I think panel 2 looks great. I love the angle. It's a nice panel. Just panel 1, I'm noticing the background there. You don't actually have a perspective point. It looks like you do on the right, but on the left, those pipes are actually not going to it. So, like the top pipe is just parallel with it.
Yeah. So it's basically pulling you out of the continuity of the storytelling. You've got the characters that are doing the storytelling really well, but like he's saying, that if that establishing shot, we're assuming this is like an establishing shot, it's your big opening shot, right? And that one thing is detracting away from that feeling to that panel. If that was right, this would look so much better, you know, because the character flow is actually pretty cool looking.
Hey, Eric, can I ask you, when you're sketching out your panels, specifically in regards to this first panel here, do you actually set up a perspective grid for yourself and kind of plot out really roughly where all the characters are going to go, or do you kind of wing it and go with your instinct?
I did set up a perspective grid, but I think in the mix, when I was erasing some stuff, I kind of got off of it and I lost track of where I was at.
Yeah, we've all done that.
Yeah. And look, that's totally okay. So I've noticed something really interesting doing my panel layouts, and that is if I use a perspective grid right off the bat, I just trip out and I screw everything up, basically. For some reason, I can't, like the perspective grid kind of confines my creativity and my natural artistic kind of, instinct and intuition. So sometimes I'll start out without a perspective grid. Dave, I know that you use your perspective grids and do up the epic, right? And they look amazing.
My head doesn't work properly if I don't do that. So it's
Right.
whatever makes you comfortable.
Yeah. So again, artists work in different ways, and it depends. Like maybe you'll try this out and it'll work better. So what I do is I just sketch it out really roughly. I plot it all out, and then what I'll do once it's roughly how I want it, then I'll do out the perspective grid over the top to make sure it is actually going to work, because you do want to make sure eventually that perspective is going to be spot on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, see, and I feel like if I don't do the perspective grid first, I sometimes, most of the time, can pay the price. But what happened being a digital artist or going so much into the digital realm, I knew I could throw it together whenever I felt like it. So it sort of gave me a bit of a bad habit. Now, for Clayton, he feels like it stifles his creativity. For me, I feel like it looks like I'm trying to put a couple things together. So lately I've been drawing the perspective grids first, and it's given me a sense of kind of relief, but we're all different, so you got to try all these different methods. Some are going to work, some are going to work for certain shots. Like there where you did it with no background, she looks great. Like Dave said, her and the dog, there's good movement there. You don't need to throw a background on everything. There's those times you want the eye to rest, and it gives a nice feeling of, detail and then a light, airy vibe. And again, I think you're doing great with the characters. But yeah, I think maybe trying some new perspective techniques. Dave's got some great tutorials on his YouTube for perspective drawing that you might want to check out.
Big time.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it looks great, man. I love the characters in it. Did you have another page?
Yeah.
That's it. Oh, yeah, more panels. Yeah, see, I dig those too. It's kind of hard to see, but I like that lower left one. I like the different camera angles you're using. Yeah. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and nicely done. Her jumping out, I think that angle works really well. That last panel, I like how, it looks like there's a lot of energy. She's got the smoke kind of coming out behind her. I think it's really nicely done and nicely framed, So I've had criticisms before, and I've gotten criticisms also. Like her knee is touching the bottom of the panel, or her fingers are touching the panel there just a little bit. And yeah, that could be valid. I don't think it is a problem there for me at all. I think it works.
Yeah, I think they look pretty solid.
All right.
Yeah, I will say the folds in her pants definitely could use a little bit more realizing. They're a little soft, and they're not really completely connecting like folds everywhere. They're not bad, but definitely I'd say it's an area to work on. I think in panel 2, her leg that's kicking out, it's very, very long. So, there are some anatomical things, because I think the lighting overall really works. The folds work when they work. But then it definitely needs, I think it needs a little bit more development.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of good things that is happening on this page, Eric. You're doing things that a lot of artists wouldn't even think of. Like you're adding in those line weights. You're going head on into the shadows, and you've got a lot of elements you've included in the background, a lot of props. You're posing these characters. You're plotting out the scene. So you're making a ton of different calculations. It's no wonder you're going to be tripping up a lot inevitably. That's the more you go outside your comfort zone and push yourself as an artist, the more mistakes you end up going to make. That just means you're learning at light speed at that point. So certainly, even though there's certainly room for improvement, on this page, there's a lot of areas. You're going to be figuring out what those improvements are extremely quickly. And if you keep going in this direction, you'll notice rapidly, even maybe through this Top Cow talent contest, that the pages incrementally get better in a very noticeable manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, did you have another one, or?
Yeah, I actually have a couple. So here's the next one, like after she lands on the other side.
Can you zoom up a little bit, please? These guys must have better eyes than I do. I can't see it.
Actually, I make this full screen here because
Yeah,
that's
should I?
better. There we go. I think panel 1 is a really, really strong panel, all in all. She's landed there, and I think it really works. Compositionally, it really works. I like it. I will say that the buildings get sketchy. They really work, and they have a lot of character. They're nice buildings, but they get a little sketchy. If it was being inked, you would either require the inker to really kind of fix a lot, or to do it in a really kind of a stylized way, and that's a choice. So, but I do think the buildings could be better. I think the basis for them is definitely there. I really think that either using a more complete grid to start from, or doing it more the way that Clayton is comfortable. One or the other, I think, would be very helpful. I really like the figure of the homeless person just to her right. I guess it'd be to her left, but to the right of the panel. It's a great looking pose. Everybody looks like they're stuck on the ground nicely. It's a well done panel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is great. When you're drawing your buildings out, Eric, are you using reference material at all?
Yeah, actually. So I wanted to do something for the background here, just as kind of an inside joke, for my wife. She likes to watch Bob's Burgers, so I decided to draw the 3 buildings from there, just to kind of, because nobody would notice, but she and I.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool.
And I just caught that show for the first time on the other day. Literally the first time, and they keep showing that Bob's Burgers building frontage. So once you said that, it clicked. That's hilarious. Gotta love those inside jokes.
Yeah, cool. I mean, David has some amazing tutorials on buildings and backgrounds, so they help me out. I'd recommend checking those out. They're good. They're really good, and it's just simple little techniques that you can add that'll make just a ton of difference. But yeah, it's just like making sure everything's lined up and leveled up properly. Using a ruler or whatever it is, rather than freehanding it. I think again, Dave's right. It's just neatening it up, and that'll improve it in and of itself. But I'm just trying to work out if the characters are correctly in the proper perspective, and the reason is because I've been doing layouts for a comic book at the moment that have involved a lot of characters in different scenes, and getting them all to line up properly on a perspective grid especially can be really tough, because it's not like a 1-point perspective where like you're just lining them up next to one another and they're just going to get smaller in scale in a linear way. A person might be there but in the background, a person might be here but in the foreground, and so it can be really tough to figure out exactly where they need to line up. So one thing that I learned about from Greg Capullo was in a Wizard magazine, you might have even come across it before, is that depending on where your horizon line is, observe closely if there is a person standing straight up where that horizon line is going to intersect their body, right? If it's the pelvis, for example, then that means no matter where you place any other character, any other characters in that scene, They can be as small or as big as you want them, as long as their pelvis lines up with that horizon line, right? Now, of course, that scale is going to cause them either to look closer or further away, so keep that in mind. But that should help. And so what I'm wondering is, if she stands up, is she going to be too tall in comparison to the homeless guy?
Oh, yeah.
You know? And again, these things are hard to judge. I'm not even sure about that looking at it, but it is
something to think about, though. You're right.
It is something to think about.
Yeah.
She does look a little, possibly too giant. Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she's supposed to be petite, right?
And in terms of storytelling, I feel like you've got panel 1, and then you're reversing the shot and looking down at it, but it's a full reverse, which I tend to be a little reluctant to do, because you imagine it like a football game. The camera always kind of stays on one side of the field, and if it ever switches, it really messes with you. And when you do a full reverse, that's about as far as you can get away with. So, and it also kind of disconnects her from the people. Like, you've got 3 panels there. I know you're following the script. If it were me, I think I can see her. I can see the people beyond her. And then I think for the next panel, I would maybe reverse the camera there, and then you see it from behind the people, and you see her standing up. And the guy with the toque, I'm Canadian. It's toque,
yeah.
He looks disconnected. I'm not sure where he is in that crowd, or I gathered that he's looking at her, but I'm looking at both of those shots from really the same angle, just front on. So it's not really reading like it's flowing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a rule in cinematography. Filmmaking, right? Where you want to keep your characters on the same side of the scene at any one point of time, because if you do flip it around, it can confuse. It just, the audience still recognizes who they are, but it confuses their orientation and understanding of where everything is in a scene. So, try if the girl is on the right hand side of the first panel, make sure she's on the right hand side of the second and third panel, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and Tomic mentioned Mestra, remember his full name, Clayton? I'm so bad with names. Marcos Mateo Mestra. And he has a phenomenal book on composition that I really, really recommend. And it's so effectively explained.
Let me take a note. What's his name again?
Marcos Mateo Mestra.
Marcos Mateo Mestra.
I hope I'm not saying that wrong. I might be, but
well, Google corrects us, so we're good.
That's right.
It'll find it.
It's a good effort.
So because we can say, okay, there's this and there's this, and hopefully it's helpful. But having somebody really visually break it down, and he uses multiple different examples of why it's wrong and how to fix it, makes a big difference. It's a real eye opener.
Yeah. Okay. And plus, if you just sit there and you really just stop what you're doing and draw a bunch of compositional shapes, and before you get into all the detailing, kind of what Clayton mentioned earlier, like, just draw those shapes out. You can even use different colored pencils. I've seen artists do that, and just, go simple, go background, midground, foreground elements, but really just zero in on the composition. Look at Dave's stuff, Clayton's stuff, whatever artists really speak to you, and break down their shots with just the composition. Don't try to draw anything else. Don't get too excited and draw the detail. But it's really neat when you do that, and then you really start to spot things. And I wrote down that name of that book because that's something I find myself wanting to really improve on my own style, is composition. So you're doing some good rendering and some good character concepts. I think they're right. If you zero in on that composition, it could probably take you quite a bit further pretty quickly. Yes.
One last thing I'll say as well, it's another little perspective technique you can try out. Again, this is like another option for you. So you can start out with the characters, get them down into the scene first, figure out, how you want them to be presented because they're the important part, right? That's what the reader's going to be locking onto unless it's an establishing shot. But what you can do once the characters are where you want them to be, you can kind of build the rest of the scene off of them. So you can start to plot the buildings out around them. You could even determine what the perspective is going to be and set the perspective grid up based on where those characters are in that scene. Again, it's a pretty obscure way of working, but I've found that that's worked for me a few times when I've been having a bit of trouble.
I might try that.
Yeah.
Oh,
See
sorry.
how you go.
Nice looking shot of that girl with the explosion behind her.
Mm-hmm.
Nicely lit.
That was cool. Almost reminds me of like a Jubilee shot or something from X-Men. The explosion style, anyways.
Yeah, for sure. And hey, just with her pose, like there's a massive explosion happening there, right? Like, I reckon you could push that pose even more and exaggerate it, not in terms of the drawing style, but just in the way she's positioned. So, if there was an explosion happening behind me right now, I probably wouldn't be standing up. I'd be like crouching on my knees, like I'd be in a ball, right? Like my hands above my head. So you could push it to that extreme if you wanted to. And I'd suggest in any scene where you've got an event happening that's impactful and dramatic within the comic book sequence, think about, with regards to the poses of the characters, how you can push them to those extremes and what the most extreme version would look like, because there's a beginning and there's an end to every action. Okay, what does the most extreme version of the beginning of that action look like? How does it look in the middle? You usually notice the middle is kind of like the meekest pose you could go with, and then the final climax of that character's pose is going to be the extreme version you want to use to really hit home that impact.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And make sure to always act these things out. You know, you need to be acting out every panel from your comic.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying I was trying to be funny, but sometimes I will. Sometimes I'll act out the shot. Is that is that weird?
No, everybody does that.
Okay, all right, just checking.
Sometimes
I used to
you
work
have
in the
to.
studio. You look over and there's somebody going, and they're not even looking in a mirror or anything. They're just drawing and they're making the face.
Right? Yeah, no, it's like you almost instinctively start to make the face you're drawing, right? That's hilarious.
For sure.
Yeah, but it's looking great, Eric. Really good
Thanks.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes you have to be reminded almost of how things would play out, because you've got an idea in your head, usually a very generic idea in your head of how things play out.
Right.
But sometimes you don't have the necessary level of information you need to really present that on the page with the level of realism and energy that is really going to make it pop, make it look alive. So certainly act it out. Try to find a clip on YouTube from a movie that you remember having that same event happen in it, which is what I do some of the time to get ideas. It's like, oh, there's an explosion happening. Okay, time to check out some Mission Impossible clips, you know? And
I've got a huge folder from anime. A lot of
there you
different
go.
ones. That stuff,
Beautiful, yeah.
Kill la Kill. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it has some of the most extreme, incredible, like really interesting poses and kind of scenarios. And yeah, not that I would ever take anything from there, but it's good stuff. Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely check that out.
Okay.
All right. So, do you got one more?
Well, I have one more if we've got time. I know it's been a.
Yeah. We should scoot along, but if you got something specific you want us to see on there, and
It's. I won't even zoom in.
okay. Yeah, no, I think that's cool, man. I think you're doing real good. Hopefully the tips that you've got from these guys gives you some stuff to chew on. Yeah, and just implement it and keep knocking out the pages, man. That's the best thing you can do. You know, you learn so much sequential page to page. So you're doing just keep doing what you're doing. You're doing
Absolutely.
great.
Okay.
Yeah, panel 1, you've got the girl standing and then the girl laying on the ground, and then panel 2, you've moved that angle, and I think everything really works well, and it looks like it fits together. Like, it's nicely done. I will say the bottom with the dark along the top, it reads like all one panel? Is it all one panel that you have time through? I'm not sure. It looks like
No,
no,
it's switching back and forth between like real what's real and then what everybody else around him is seeing. So that's why she looks like more sinister here, and then more like a monster here.
Is this a script that they provided?
Yeah.
Yeah, in my experience, they work as hard as they can to make it difficult to draw.
Right.
So the minute you say it's this person's perception versus, I'm like, okay, yeah, there we go. Yeah, that's a nightmare to have to do. But yeah, all in all, it's looking good. I definitely recommend Marcus Mateo Mestre for his composition. I think it'd be a big help, and storytelling too. It's kind of all in there. So
yeah, and I'll just say real quick, most of these panels, if not all of them, have the perspective of the camera shooting from an above, like a top-down perspective. So I'm looking down on the scene in almost every panel. So what you can do to kind of mix things up a little bit and make it more interesting is to, mix up the camera angle. Have a few panels where instead of looking down, you're looking up at the characters in the scene. You might even want to mess with the angle of the horizon line. It looks like there's a lot of crazy stuff happening. So in that case, in a panel where there's lots of action happening, you can, tilt that horizon line, and that can make it look, more action-packed and more dynamic. Quick little tip for you.
All right.
Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys for all the feedback.
Oh yeah, keep up the good work, Eric, and we'll see you next time, bud.
All right, thanks.
All right, take care. All right, so now let's see what we got here. I think our next one is Aman. Aman, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys. Clayton, I just want to say it's just a pleasure to finally meet you, at least via virtual. I know it's been obviously hectic with what's going on, but
thank you so much.
Oh, and me and Dave are just chopped liver over here, I guess.
Don't worry.
I'm not deserved. I mean, it's these guys.
It's just been a while since I've seen, the two of you, It's just been such a huge while, and I just feel like everything's just been throwing me off. But anyway.
No, it's fine. Clayton's pretty cool. You're right.
I'm okay.
But I know I have 3 pieces here that I want to show you, but I only have my sketchbook and traditional paper stuff, so I don't have anything like.
Oh, you got to hold it up, you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
So here, I don't know if you can see this. Just ignore any negative space here. Maybe I should turn this off. You can see that here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is a card that I did, and I applied that from How to Draw. I applied it using the How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way technique, where they kind of have the rectangle. And then I also have some Loomis method studies that I did as well.
They look great.
Oops, hold on. Sorry. Buttons. Trying to give you the screen here, bud. I don't know what button to hit.
If you hover over his panel, Rob, there should be a little square rectangle that pops up. Just click that.
This one?
There you go. Oh,
Thanks,
sorry.
Clayton.
If you want him to make a full screen, of course.
Yeah, that's well. Now we can see it better. Are you moving, Aman? Aman?
I think he might have frozen, or he is.
Oh no!
Still.
Well, we can really analyze these heads now.
Yes,
good head shapes, good variety.
Look really good. Yeah,
They look solid, actually.
I think we lost them.
Oh, and if you want to shrink that down, Rob, you just click the square again. I think. There you go.
Don't you condescend me.
I'm not. I'm genuinely trying to help. I've been in this position before.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, he froze up. I'm sorry, Aman. Do you guys still want to give him the feedback? I mean, those are some good. I like that kind of practice. I do that still to. Oh, there he goes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's good practice, right?
It is, and it looks like he's really getting the hang of it.
Yeah.
It looked very consistent.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there was the car, right?
Yeah. No, the car. I was gonna say, Dave, you got a video on drawing some vehicles, don't you? Or...
I do. I feel like what he did with the actual card, he said he used the box method from How to Draw Comics from Marvel Way.
Right.
That worked. But that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't work for the wheels. It does, but it takes a couple extra steps, and I think definitely those steps needed to be taken there. They weren't in perspective. They were also just in terms of size.
Right.
They're very small for the car. So I would say it would definitely help to learn how to draw a circle in perspective.
Now, do you do the box in perspective first, crisscross it, do the circle? Do you find that to be helpful or no? I know there's a different method where you find center or there's some crazy method where you can do circles or ovals in perspective, but I usually just use a box in perspective, a cube-like shape, and then
I don't just use a box because, and I know that will work to give you a circle, but when I want to circle,
it's not the right way.
If I'm looking up at it or if I'm looking down at it, the wheel is always going to be perpendicular to like the axle. So if you've got your axle coming down at an angle like this, I mean, obviously this is on the page, then your wheel is perpendicular to that. So I want to make sure. It's so hard to explain this stuff just by talking.
Do a video on it.
Okay, well, hold on. I have it actually in a video. You know what? By the way, I have a how to draw cars video, and I go into that.
Let me go find it. I'll go find that video. It's on your channel, right?
Yep.
I'm gonna just share the link.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, but go in, and it's a really simple concept when you see it. When somebody like me is trying to explain it with words, it gets very complex.
Do you remember the name of it?
How to draw cars.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, so Emin's saying he got kicked out. So you froze Emin, and it kicked you out.
All right. Well, we're gonna have to. I don't know how to bring them back in because we've got. There's only so many people that can come in at a time, so we're gonna have to go to the next one and cycle them back through. So really sorry about that, Aman. But I'm gonna share that link to the video Dave's talking about, and we'll bring in our next contestant, Lance.
Hey, it's Lance DuBois.
You guys caught me daydreaming.
Hey, Lance.
Never.
How you doing, fellas?
What's up, man?
Yeah.
Good, thanks.
Awesome. I know it's great to be back in this atmosphere, if you will. So what I did, I've got 2 pages here to show. I'll share screen.
Okay.
And they were 2 pages from a TMNT script. It was from a contest, and sadly, they got lost in the shuffle, so they never were entered in the contest. But regardless, the boys are making it up for me. They're making it up to me, however you want to say that.
The How to Draw Comics one?
Yes.
Man,
cool.
I could swear I saw something like this.
Yeah,
Anyway.
No, the boys were good about it. I understood. They felt terrible, and so they're making it up to me.
Oh,
anyway.
cool.
So they were awesome. But I'll just it's 2 pages. I'll kind of, if you guys can see that, okay. And
Very well.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Looking good. I like your use of dark to lights, kind of framing the shots. That's pretty cool.
What I found so funny is trying, like, you guys, the feedback you give, trying to keep so many things right here of what you've said in the past or in your videos. And I know I didn't explore camera angles too much, but I was so focused on that, composition and placement and things like that. So,
and successfully, these are this one so far, because it's only 1 page so far, I think is the strongest panel to panel work that I've seen from you easily. And some of the problems you were having with the X-Men stuff you did last time, completely not happening here at all. Like it really, I look at that 3rd panel with the, one of the turtles is in the foreground, the other one's like that works proper. That's how it's supposed to go. It's great. It's really nice to see.
Cool.
Because that is the exact kind of panel that you really struggled with the last time. So it's very impressive.
Thank you. Whoops. Let's scroll down. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, that's great. That
That's
action
cool,
shot.
man.
Yep.
Yeah, love how you move the camera down to the ankles at the bottom. That's cool.
And I was a little worried because I was thinking like, oh, is that a safe spot to chop a character off at? But I thought it kind of worked for the.
That was cool. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, really nicely done. I don't really have so many comments. I could say, I could get nitpicky, like just above the turtle's head that was in the foreground felt like it was a little more shadow than there was on the lower face. And actually in the panel where he's hitting, I'm so bad. Ames the rhinoceros.
Mhm.
Again, I feel like the lighting on his forehead is not consistent with the lighting on the rest of his face completely. It's not bad. So, it gets a little nitpicky, but it's there. And then I feel like, okay, some of the rendering on his leg there, I can see some of it, like the bottom of the leg just kind of stops. And then there's another patch of rendering above it that just, again, kind of stops. And, so I would give you a hard time about that. But,
Perfect.
like we're talking about, I think, your anatomy is developing and it's looking much better. I think it's still, there's still a little bit to go to really, bring it together completely. But from pose to pose, it's looking very consistent and very good. And yeah, it's getting to the point where it's more like picking out little things. I feel like the actual panels, the storytelling, the composition is all very strong. The lighting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's like a lot of the stuff you guys say, like you get to a point and you just, now you have to stop being lazy, stop thinking, but just focus, keep, tighten things up and don't get sloppy at the end.
Yes.
That's it. That's the finessing in the end that really brings it together.
Mm-hmm. So this was the second page.
Cool.
Yeah, I like that. I like how they're looking back. It reads well. They're looking back at the flow of the storytelling, which is kind of neat. It's directing pretty well. And then it's a good top-down shot that, gets a lot of that detail in there, which is good.
You're a little big in the ninjas' heads, in the ninjas in the background there.
Okay.
Proportionally. They're the two of them, especially that are the furthest away.
Yeah.
The heads get just a little large. But
yeah.
Really nicely placed on the ground, and nicely composed. I mean, yeah, it's a huge step forward, these pages.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I do like the storytelling just in terms of how you've got the ninjas running out of the drain or the sewer. They didn't just appear there in that last panel. They weren't just surrounded immediately. You've actually shown. You've done a great job of showing us a sequence of events unfolding in a single panel. Fantastic storytelling.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Thank you.
That's what you want. You want to fit as much of that kind of thing into different panels as possible, and that'll help it play out inside the reader's head. Even on an unconscious level, they might not notice immediately, but they'll put two and two together.
Yes, well, that is always the best storytelling. Nobody knows. Nobody notices it.
Yeah.
You only notice it when it's not working.
Oh yeah, that's exactly it.
Right. Well, good. No, thanks. Yeah, it was a lot of fun and just it's a whole nother world. Well, you guys are experienced, but man, just looking at or reading a script and man, just thinking like, all right, how am I gonna show this? How am I gonna express it? And it was so cool to see how many different people, how they rendered or how they brought those 2 pages to life, and just everybody's same ideas here and there. But I think it's so neat that so many people can come up with different ways to tell, something.
Right.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
It's a great way to learn. I like pulling up sample pages from any of the other companies, and he's obviously, I'm sure everybody gets it, but he's obviously referencing the contest on howtodrawcomics.net. Would you do that on your Facebook group and the website, or mainly the Facebook group, right?
Mainly the Facebook group, yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, Ed's probably the guy most responsible for putting that together. He really pushes
Ed
that forward.
Foychuk, right?
Yep, Ed Foychuk, that's the man.
And so that's a great thing, like Lance is saying, to see and bounce. You're basically getting to bounce those ideas off other people or see how they would envision it. And what I was mentioning is I love doing that with seeing sample pages. There's real popular sample pages for Batman, and you can look it up and then see all these different artists that have submitted over the years for that sample set for that. It's just a great way to really get your mind to open up a little bit, right? And not, because I have a very specific way that I probably would see some panels lay out. And then all of a sudden I look at somebody else and I'm like, whoa, that's way better. That's what I should be doing.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You can learn so much through that kind of thing. Just knowing what alternatives are out there that could be explored.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah, for sure. And what I did, so these aren't finished, but I thought, you know what, I'm gonna try to take this a step farther. So I actually started inking and coloring these just for practice and things. But so I have the first one, but I don't have any highlights. They're just flats and shadows right now. But this is kind of where I'm getting with these right now, just messing around with them.
Yeah,
Nice.
the flats actually look kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, coloring. I'm certainly not qualified to criticize coloring. So
Yeah,
but you've seen a lot of it.
I've seen a lot of it. Yeah.
But,
Yeah. Hey, as far as just the palette you've gone with for the flats, I think that looks good. You pick some nice colors. They're not super saturated or fluorescent like some people just coming into coloring might choose. Just beginning. You seem like you've got a good idea as far as the kind of tone you want to go for, and it looks good. It does suit the Ninja Turtles.
Thanks. Yeah, I actually keep going back to Rob's channel for the coloring and the Procreate stuff and all that, and I keep picking up more and more each time I watch something. So I will endorse and highly recommend Rob's
thanks
coloring
so
tutorials.
And if you guys don't know what channel it is, it's the one you're watching right now.
Easy to find. Yeah.
Easy to find.
Yeah.
Make sure to click that like button.
You probably don't even need highlights that much. Like, I'm looking at the third panel there, and just the way you place the shadows. Oh no, sorry, hang on, that must be the fourth panel.
Oh, actually, I did sneak some highlights in this one.
Oh,
I'm
did
sorry.
you? Oh, I meant like the fourth panel, just the way you've got the shadows placed in around the rhino's face, Rocksteady, I think he's called, and and Donatello's muscles. I think for some reason that fits really well with your line art style. I could be wrong there, but yeah,
it's a good panel.
Yeah,
Very, very effective.
Well, thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, no, it's great, Lance. And like Dave said, you're coming a long ways, and you're improving in the areas that you need to, which is great. It means you're on the right track. So just keep it up.
Awesome. Do you have 30 seconds to tell me if I'm on the right path with an opening page for something else?
Sure.
All right. So this is a story of mine that I'm just kind of slowly working on. This is actually the first page, and I'm just trying to establish where in the universe, where in the world, whatever, am I starting my story. Obviously, this panel here will be more of a street level, like, now to say we're coming in onto an office, which the next page will be the office interaction or something. But your thoughts on storytelling, and it will obviously the art, but just this idea of, hey, where are we in the universe? Some sort of a planet, a city on that planet, and then here we go.
I think the buildings are really, really nicely done. I will say, I know it's nitpicky, but for a printed comic, you are drawing your panels to the crop line and not to the border or the interior panel borderline. So just be aware of that. There's a line you can see that inset from there. There's another line. That's where the panels actually should start. You can see it if you look at the top of the page. And actually, I can see it there. There's a dotted line down. That's where your panel should go.
Yeah.
So just be aware of that. And it's fine for this, but what it means is if it goes to print, that would be a conflict. But, it's not such a big deal. And I'd say just in terms of storytelling, I'd love to see maybe a little bit more of a designy kind of a thing with that top panel flowing into the next panel and then into the bottom. It would give you a bit more of that feel. But just from a drawing perspective and detail sense, I think it looks great.
I stole some of these I swiped some of these buildings from Ultimates.
Yeah, I stole them all from somebody else. That's for sure.
Awesome. Well, no, thanks a ton for the time tonight, you guys. I know you probably got a bunch waiting, so I appreciate this a ton, and I everything you guys say gets locked. I got no room for hair, so that's where all the knowledge is.
Nice. Now it's looking great, Lance. Really like those buildings for sure. So keep it up, dude, and we'll see you on the next one.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Take care, fellas.
Yep. Take care.
Nice to meet you.
Oops.
Oh.
Now, Rob, I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah.
Just take me a second here.
All right.
All right. Who we got next, Robert?
Let's see. We've got. Oh, I almost skipped somebody. That would have been good. Okay,
Oh,
here we go. We got.
Hey guys.
hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I've
Oh,
been here a couple
Padrino.
of times before. Yeah, Clayton. We've seen each other more often, but I've been on
Certainly.
the previous ones. Robert and Dave. I was on the first one and the second one, I think.
Oh,
So
cool.
yeah, I wanted to show you a couple of pages from a new project that I'm working on, and the first things that the things that I wanted to like get some advice was like the rendering and like the textures, because that's something that I'll struggle a lot, and I know you guys are really masters of like rendering. So let me share my screen.
All right. Oh,
Is
that
it
was
showing?
quick. Bam. Yeah, I think so. Is this yours?
Oh, wow.
Hope this is yours.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see the page?
Using Clip Studio Paint. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, zoom in there. Let's see it.
These were all
Nice.
traditional. I just scanned them on Clip Studio.
Hmm. Oh,
Oh,
the
you
inking too.
started traditional?
Yeah,
Or
these
it's
are
all
all
traditional?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
And
I
when it comes to like stuff
thought
like this first panel, I think when it comes to like things that are what would be the word? I guess natural things or organic.
Organic,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly. I think I can fake it a little bit better, but when it comes to like stuff like the car and this panel, for example, with these things, when it comes to like tech stuff, I don't really
Yeah.
know how to make it look interesting, I guess, because on like the first panel, I can add all the texture and make it look a little bit rougher, but
Mm-hmm.
with tech stuff, I think I struggle more, to make it look more interesting, I guess.
It's fine. It's really a kind of a thought process. Clayton, you do a lot of good tech stuff. What's your approach for that?
Yeah, so you're probably referring to more the design of the tech and
Yeah, I
what's.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, so it depends on what your inspirations are. For me, as an example, I used to love playing a lot of Doom, like Doom 3, the Doom games in general, right? And
Yeah.
so I would study the concept art from those games because there was some fantastic ones. Quake was
Right.
another good video game, especially the later versions where they really did get pretty high tech with their designs. So that could be, anything that you're into. If you're doing a sci-fi comic, find some sci-fi movies, some sci-fi video games, and just either gather some reference images, put them in a big. I use a program called PureRef to store my references. It's free, and you can download it and organize all your references. You can save out canvases full of those references. And the next time you're doing a scene like this, just pull it up. You might have saved out, sci-fi inspiration, right? And
Yeah.
of
Very
course,
cool.
don't rip it completely, but just use it to help inform the direction you take some of your designs, and that it'll just give you ideas, right? Because the thing about your brain when it comes to creativity is it's kind of an empty bucket until you start putting things into it, because the amount of information that it's otherwise storing is just really generic stuff. It's basically idea, like any references sitting inside your brain are kind of converted into symbolic references. So they're kind of like little clues or anchors that you can think about, but not really get a high resolution of detail out of. So
Yeah.
actually having some references there that you've gathered off the internet can really help you to fill in those details and to expand upon those more symbolic ideas that you've got floating around inside your brain. And you might be thinking about, so you got some people sitting in test tubes here by the looks of it, or some kind of tank.
Yeah.
And I've got my own version of what that might look like inside my brain, but again, it's fairly, if I was to draw it out, it'd be pretty basic and boring until I started to add things to it. Now the alternative of that is just to focus more on shape. So if you begin on focusing on your largest shape. So overall, what is the shape of these tanks? You could make it just a box, and that would work, which is what you've got there with some rounded edges. But how could you make it even more interesting than that? Maybe you could make it a cylinder. Maybe you could make it a box with a bit of an edge transition that causes it to go in a downward angle toward the feet or something like that, just as an example. You start with the basic overall shape, and then you can start with the interior design shapes within that. And same deal there, for example, an interior shape might be the little indentations you've got on the side of the tank at the top, or the way you've cut out those windows, using very straight edged lines there, which is fine, but they're mostly going in one direction. Like maybe you could mix that up a little bit, have them kind of going straight and then up in a diagonal manner, and you can just really roughly sketch that stuff out until you decide to then go ahead and finalize it. So have fun with it in the beginning. I'm not sure, did you have a design for these tanks before you actually started drawing out the panel?
Yeah, actually, on the sketch, they were like cylinders on the rough sketch that I did, but
Right, there you
I was
go.
getting a little bit with the perspective and stuff, and like how to like because they all have to kind of look similar. I was like, it was getting very difficult to replicate all that stuff, in all the tanks from different perspective, all the
For
small
sure.
details and stuff. So I think that's why I went for like the simpler shape, but I think it kind of looks very boring, even though I tried to add like a couple of things like the cables and stuff to make it look a little bit more interesting. But in the end, it's pretty much just a basic rectangle, and I think that's something I always struggle with, like making stuff like tech and even like the car and stuff, or like this background, for example, like it's all very simple. I think that's always something I struggle with when it comes to drawing
Yeah.
more tech stuff, because the organic stuff, I guess it's easier because I can make it look more rough. But with the text stuff, I guess like it has to look more a little bit cleaner, and the perspective and all the lines and stuff. I think I always struggle with that.
Yeah.
I'll certainly plug Dave's course again here, the one on backgrounds, because he's got a lesson dedicated to tech in that class.
Really good.
So perfect for
Yeah, and,
exactly what you're describing there.
And then also, like, I don't know if Dave is back. I can.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
can
right here.
to this
Yep,
one.
sorry.
Yeah, Dave, you did Aphrodite. I don't know. Is it IX or Aphrodite 9?
9, whichever. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you did Aphrodite 9, and you have a lot of crazy tech in there, right? And I really love the way you did it, because it looked rough, but at the same time it looked very futuristic, I guess, and very different.
Well, I can
also
tell
had
you,
that rough style.
Thank you. My tech for that book was it was Travis Trest with what he had done with some Wildcats covers, and they all interconnected with these tubes, and Wildcats X-Men. That was half of the tech in that book was from that, and the other half was from Mike Mignola's. Again, my memory. It was the book of the week one week, but it's a Mike Mignola book that I won't even remember a single detail of now that I'm on the spot. Get me off of here, and I'd know it like in a heartbeat. But it was.
All right, I'll delete you. Hold on. Remove. No, kidding.
But there was a Mike Mignola book that he did around before he did Hellboy. That the rest of the stuff in there was from.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you if, like, because it looks so kind of loose, I wanted to ask if you, when you were drawing the pencils, or when you were doing the sketches, were you like being very loose about it, or were you thinking actually? Maybe my question is, were you thinking about something specific, or you was just like doing like very freely, and then you kind of like made it look into something more finished at the end?
Well, what I would do is, first of all, I would really sketch in lightly just the major compositional elements of what I want, and then I would put in my perspective, because it's really the background or the basis for everything. And then I would, once I've got the perspective in, I would still lightly and loosely sketch in everything on top of that, just to get I know that I want this shape here and this shape here, but I can still be kind of loose, so I can still be a little creative with it. And I'm looking at reference also. I'm not just making this stuff up. A lot of times I am, but I will tell you that you copy 3 or 4 cool looking things from Travis Trest, and the 5th one you can do yourself. So then you can start to expand on it and bring in other things. And there's actually another Mike Mignola book, It's Aliens. It's an Aliens book that he did. I have 3 copies of that. I had one. I gave it out. I couldn't find it for ages. I bought another one. I lost that one. Now I have 3. I bought 3. So that's a great one to look at for that kind of stuff. And I didn't use a ruler. I never use a ruler when I'm penciling backgrounds, unless it's a really long line and it's a hassle. But for the most part, it's all freehand. But then I had the advantage of working with an inker. And this is where, if you're inking your own work, you have to make the choice. Do you want to pencil and do everything freehand and then finish it with ink? Or do you want to just draw it with ink, in which case you're kind of using a ruler? And I'm doing that now because I'm making my own covers. I don't want to have to do the backgrounds twice. And I'm actually finding it might possibly be longer than twice as long. Like I'd be better off to just pencil it and then ink it for backgrounds. And I'm really thinking maybe I should start doing that because I struggle with it. Trying to get the look that I want using a ruler and trying to make everything clean. It's hard. I want to say, I absolutely agree that yes, the detail for those stasis pods, it's
cryo chambers,
right, could be better, but the perspective is great, and I really like how they're much longer on the one side. The side that we're looking at, more it's closer to the perspective point. It's very shortened. It's such a hard thing to do to get that to work, and it works perfectly. And it's really nice to see that because it's such a common problem to see that done improperly, and you really did it perfectly there. So that's great. And also I wanted to say that top panel, the guy sitting there driving that car, I love that hand. I love his face, the lighting on his face. It kind of reminds me of, I swear I can see a little bit of Kevin Nolan in there,
Yeah, Kevin Nolan is my favorite artist actually. So I always try to get something from him.
Yeah, that's a really good shot.
Yep.
Even her posture, that nonchalant looking over, kind of cool posture, it just all works. Yeah, it's a good shot.
So much attitude. And hey, the pods look, they're simple, but they are solid. They're very solid, and they kind of remind me of something you'd see in like 2003 Space Odyssey. They're, because of the way you've designed them, it's like it just makes them look more retro and older because they're a little bit more boxy. So kind of like cars from back in the 60s or 80s or whatever.
Yeah, I guess I'm gonna try to be a little more loose whenever I'm drawing tech because when I'm drawing tech stuff, like Dave was saying, I was really struggling with using the ruler all the time and making it look very very finished even in the pencil stage, and I was getting really detailed, even from the start with the tech stuff. So I guess I'm gonna try to be a little more loose. I think that's going to help me a lot to make them look more interesting, all that stuff.
Yeah, a ruler can be your best friend, and it can also hold you back. So sometimes you just gotta, like Dave's saying, mix in some freehand. You can rule your lines, and you'll be amazed. The more you start doing the freehand, people won't always know when it's not ruled, but it does soften up that hard, rigid feeling that I think that you're looking to do with your stuff. Another artist I'm going to mention, just because like Dave mentioned a couple references and resources. One that I liked is and it's old stuff, but I don't know if you ever checked it out, but Joe Benitez back on Weapon Zero stuff. I just love the style in which he would draw a lot of the text stuff. You might want to check that out. Again, just another reference resource, but we all have our different artists that we look at for different things. And that's one that came to mind when I looked at those cryo chambers or pods or whatever. He did a lot of cool little techie stuff in the background of that comic that you could pull from for reference if you want.
Yeah, for sure. Also, I think that was one of the problems is that I don't really read a lot of like sci-fi or like books that have this kind of like art style. So I need to get more reference, to design more cooler stuff.
Yeah,
for sure.
And one of the things I wanted to get some advice that this is something that I've been struggling ever since the first time I came to one of the shows. The rendering, when it comes to bodies and shadows. For example, if you see here, I try to do the rendering and I think it looks very, it doesn't look very, smooth, when you look at those shadows in the bodies. And that's something I struggle with, how to make it look, better. I think it looks very rough right here.
Yes. Well, first of all, it's not bad, actually. And I think it's very effective. What are you using to draw out your render lines. Is that like a tech pen?
Yeah, actually, for like the what would you call them? The heavy shadows, I guess. The black shadows. I use a brush.
Okay.
And then for the rendering lines, I use kind of like a micron pen, kind of like technical pen, I guess.
So now I can tell you, for me, I use a brush for my shadows a lot because it's fast. But then I can't just leave them that way because I don't have the brush control. I have more brush control if I really slow down, but I have more pen control faster. So what I do is I get that kind of thing locked in with a brush, and then I just take my pen and I clean up the edges a little bit. So there's that. And then with the rendering, it looks like you're just drawing out lines with your tech pen. And that's not something that you can really do if you want more of a traditional ink look. Really, like a quill will give you a thick to thin. And so you put a little bit more pressure and you come up and you get a really nice crisp line. A quill is a hassle to use, to say the least. I mean, they're such a headache, but they give you a beautiful line that you can't get with a tech pen. You can get it if you, and the way I do it, this is how I do it with a pencil too. I just kind of ball it up and create that line. So I actually have to sculpt that line for each individual one, and it gets a little automatic. I just go with it, and I don't think about it. The other option, I have my brush pens. They're the Tombow brush pens. I use a hard tip. It's not hard, it's just harder, and you can get a thin to thick with those, and that's pretty effective. I do find that they don't give you quite the same level. It looks like you've used some of that here.
Yeah, I also use brush pen sometimes. For this one, I think I used for the rendering lines specifically. I think I used a technical pen, but actually for what we call them, the outer lines, I guess the edges of each figure, I use one of these. Can you see it?
Yeah, it's a quill. Yeah.
Yeah, I still need to practice with this because it's a cheaper one. It's not that good, and I've never actually used one, but I try to use it for the outer edges of each figure.
Yeah, they're very effective. But
this is a good one too. Well, you probably can't see it; it's so small. But it's a Tombow. This particular one's a Tombow Fudenosuke. I'm gonna just type it in the chat, but it's a good one. Like I can't say it, but it's a good one. Like Dave's talking about, that'll give you a little bit more of a natural thick to thin, and it's good for like the medium rendering, I would say. And then like if you go for the tight stuff, I would go like to a 0.1, Dave, for like the little smaller lines, right?
Yeah, actually, if you don't mind, here, I'm gonna put this show you really quickly.
Are you gonna share it? Oh, there you go.
Okay, so
nice little fade in. Right,
now I've got an 08 here because it's just what I have sitting here. But if I just draw out lines with it, this is what I'm going to get, and there's no way around that. That's because it's now if I push this directly down, you can see it's a little thicker. But if I want something that gives me that kind of a nice fade out like this, I have to actually create it with this pen. It's the only way to do it, and so it's a little bit more work intensive. See, I'm not perfect there, but this is it's the worst. But this is really what you have to do. And the Tombows will actually give you this all in one stroke, but it takes a little bit more control and a little more practice. A quill will give you this in one stroke, but they're really, really difficult. But these will do it. But you actually have to. So I'm balling this out and then just pulling out from it.
Yeah.
And you just have to have the patience to do that. Otherwise, you will end up with this. And that will never give you the look that you're looking for. If you're now, Mobius does beautiful stuff like this, so it's a great option. But if you're looking for something that's more traditional American comics, or like what Kevin Nolan does, you need to actually sculpt your lines.
Yeah, and I think on this last panel, I think one of the things that it's a little bit.
Goodness, where is it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm looking for your screen again. Sorry. I'm new to all this. Where'd it go? It's right. Okay, it's right there. No, put it back. You had it. I just got to bring it back to the... Okay.
Can you see it?
Now we're gone.
Yes. Yeah, now, yeah, it's full screen.
I don't know what I did here.
One of the things in this last panel is that...
keep clicking buttons till I figure it out.
I think the rendering is a little bit inconsistent, because like I said, I'm not really good at doing rendering. So, for example, I use like a lot of
pretty good.
really like short, lines here, rendering lines here, and then there's like some long ones, and some of them are more separated from each other, and some of them are, more close. So I think it looks a little bit inconsistent, and I want to know like what's kind of like the thought process, when doing rendering lines like this, to make them look consistent.
You know what? A lot of it really is practice. I wish I had a simple answer for that. It's really difficult to answer that simply. Now, the softer your form is, so if it is a really gradual turn of form, then you want longer rendering. And if you have a really sharp turn, then you want much shorter, more blunt rendering, or even none. So that's a real factor. Or like on his chest, you've got a little bit of rendering kind of just down the center there. I think that works really well. It's very lightly done because that's all in the light. It's only a little detail, so it's fine. So you really want to, I mean, you have to think of it in terms of if you're drawing with tone, rendering is a really soft transition from dark to light. And you won't get that transition at all if you just use thin little lines. So you need to go thicker with it, but you don't want to extend your rendering. Like on his arm and on his chest, on his arm, his forearm, you've got very, very short, blunt lines, which I think is great because if you went long with those, it would really soften those out into really flat, kind of broad shapes, which would blow out that arm.
Right.
Yeah, I will say, I feel like the anatomy on that arm, I'm going to be a little critical because honestly, I think it's all in all really good, and you're working on it.
No, please be as critical as you want.
But I do think the anatomy in the forearm could be a little better. I don't know why Robert knows all the muscles. I don't know this one here. I think
extensors are the ones that cross over.
The extensors.
They go to the back of your hand.
Yeah, that formation could be a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I only know that there's this one that goes from like the upper arm. It kind of like wraps into the inside, and I know that there's some like long ones that go into the wrist. But I don't really. I need to practice my forearm.
Frazetta will help me with that. I really, really recommend some of Frazetta's, especially his comic work. It's really well done. It'll give you a really good just basis.
Yeah, I think on the next page there's because it's like it's this basically. So I think. More about the anatomy. I think this one maybe can be a little bit better. This is the next page.
That's gonna give me nightmares.
Yeah, what's happening to this?
That's creepy. I like it.
It's very Weapon
So
X.
it's kind of like
it is very Weapon X.
You see the car, you see the drivers, you see that they are like carrying all these bodies and stuff. You see this character, and then it's like kind of like a big one. Yeah, and also you can see also that the design of the chamber, I guess the thing that's containing him is kind of like very, very simple. So
getting some X-Files
tips on how to make it look more interesting.
Yeah, I love the page design with all the tubes. Like it's looks like a panel. It's very nicely done.
Yeah, cool design.
Thank you. And here I think you can see more of those rendering problems that I was telling you. It kind of looks very inconsistent sometimes.
It does, and I think the reason that it does is just going too long into forms that really should turn quicker, and kind of blowing things out here and there, and that unfortunately, there's so much theory that goes with this stuff. So much of it really though is just it's trial and error, and I can go back and look at my work over the years and see places where I've struggled with it and slowly kind of reined it in. It's a tough one. I actually have gone through a good period of my career where I barely rendered at all. I just took almost all of it out because I was fighting with it, and then slowly started reintroducing it. But I think by and large it works. Where it doesn't work, though, like the palm of his hand there, some of the lines in there, and it looks like you got a little sketchy too because you were a little lost with what to do there. I don't love that. And then
I think I tried to make it look like his hand is pressed against the glass. I guess so that's why.
It does.
I made it look a little bit more.
And you shadowed where the palm would have a pocket. The part that's bothering me a little bit is the form to the bicep. since you brought those lines too consistently over, it flattened those areas out. Where if you would have rounded them over, so you got to think of the bicep as protruding, right? It has a high point, a low point.
Yeah.
You have to imagine that with the lines a bit, and that's it. I think the rest of it reads pretty decent, I think, but that part, at least for me, it flattens out right there, and I think it's because you're just too consistently bringing the line straight over, and that's where paying attention to Dave's work is so cool because he does that really well, where he's always paying attention to the forms and going with the forms and the volumes. So really study his rendering. Maybe ink some of his work. That might help you with your own.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are like masters of rendering. Clayton. He's like super detailed, and you have all those videos. When you do that really cool rendering. So I really want to get as much advice with that stuff because I really struggle with that. And I can totally see that. I may like just straight lines when it should be more curved. I think that the things that always confuse me about rendering is the length of the rendering lines and the direction. I think that's sometimes I'm not sure where it should supposed to go. For example, in this arm I made it like go horizontal, and this other one I made it look like vertical going up, so I'm always like confused of like the direction and the length of the lines.
Well, as far as direction goes, with the lines that are going horizontal or vertical, they're both right. So it is confusing. They're both totally valid ways to go, or you can even crosshatch and use both, which I do way too often. It ends up, I have a picture, it works, it looks good, and then it dies. I've done it too many times. But
sorry, I'll let you finish, Dave.
Oh yeah, so they both work well, and it becomes a stylistic choice. And I think you can only really find that through taking those choices from artists that you like, and then also just in doing it yourself, you'll find what feels more natural for you. I was a huge Image Comics fan. I mean, I broke into Image Comics 2 years after it started, and I loved Dale Keown and Mark Silvestri and Jim Lee and all those guys, and they were doing these really long render lines and long forms, and I loved that, and I could not do it. So it's not part of my style. I just couldn't pull it off. But if I could have, I would have done it. So there are rules, but with rendering, there are so many things that it's just not a hard rule.
Right.
Yeah, some of it is definitely stylistic choice. Actually, Rob, can I share a screen real quick here, just for some examples of rendering? So I've been looking at some of this old school stuff, especially for our more fantasy comic book stuff.
Oh yeah, that's gorgeous.
Savage Sword of Conan, I believe this is from, and
that's brushwork, right? It looks like brushwork.
I think.
I guess this is the type of style that I would like, to have. Like, I really love, this old school kind of like.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Alfredo Alcala, maybe.
Alfredo Alcala. Yeah,
he was doing breakdowns, and then they were just
master,
doing incredible things over it.
So the reason I wanted to get this up is because I learned initially how to render from Dave as well, and I would just pull the rendering lines out of the shadow. Later on, what I realized is it gets way more complicated beyond that too. So what you'll notice on this guy is he's got some shadows over here where his ribs are, but there's barely any rendering. And then down here, there's a great amount of shadow, but because the whole form of his bottom torso is turned away from the light, all of a sudden, what would otherwise be short rendering, if it was faced toward the light, it becomes way longer because it's facing away from it instead, because it's plunging into shadow. And so this is where you start to think about, all of a sudden I'm not just thinking about the subforms of the human body, like the muscle groups. I'm thinking about the overall forms, like the rib cage and the whole trunk of the torso. And so that's a lot to consider. But you take it one step at a time and you work your way through it. So if you know right from the beginning, this is where my lighting position is going to be, what that will mean is that, this dude's head will be lit from the top left, and because it's sitting right above him, I know the top of his chest will be really brightly lit. And and that the bottom of his arm, as it turns away from the light, will get darker and darker. Bottom of his body will gradually get darker and darker, and that can help you to disperse the different tones throughout his body in an accurate way according to that light. And you could consider shadow, deep black shadow, as just the flat black value. And then if you gradually make your way up to white, there's a number of different tones in between.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the distance between those hatches, their thickness and their length, it's going to give you a different tone, right? So it's really tonal control that you're looking at.
That is I've never heard it broken down like that. That is really great. And it makes total sense to me. And
oh, really?
Well, I didn't thought of it that way. I should know that.
It's hard to explain. It really is hard to break down. But and that's why it is difficult, because there's not one hard and fast rule that you can give that's going to apply in all situations.
Right.
It's going to shift depending on your decision making and how you put the lighting in the scene and place the characters under it. So if you think about the functionality of what the hatches are supposed to do in terms of creating tone, that'll be your best bet in figuring out exactly how long they need to be and how thick they need to be, etc. Because if you think about ripped muscle, like when you're looking at the divisions in abs, if you look at photos of bodybuilders, they're actually very sharp divisions. Like then there's not a whole lot of curve that happens in a lit person that's a real person. However, in comic books with all those different dynamic lighting setups, that's when you start to see the variation occur in terms of how rounded forms look. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now, but stuff to think about.
It makes a lot of sense.
No, it does, and these are some excellent samples to show that you can do beautiful anatomy, and it doesn't. He didn't take it where it looks too hard. And if you notice his rendering in this, I mean, it's gorgeous stuff. It's not perfectly constructed rendering. It's not stiff. He's letting some lines go kind of wherever, but he's using a nice variety and organic way of piecing it all together. It almost reminds me of like I've never really looked at a lot of Frazetta ink work, but it almost gives me some Frazetta vibes. The way he does anatomy, anyways.
For sure. And hey, check this out. This was a big step up in my own style recently, actually, is that you can have rendering lines that aren't even attached to shadows. Okay,
Right.
It's that almost like, in a sense, they're still fading out the shadow. If we take a look at this thick shadow here, it stops right there. And then you've got these rendering lines that kind of fade it out a little bit. I've noticed Ed Beans does this a lot on some of his work, is he'll have a shadow, and instead of pulling the hatches out across it lengthwise, he'll start at the top and fade in the top, and then he won't have any hatching along the shadow.
Right.
And then he'll get to the bottom and he'll start fading it out at the bottom. And for some reason, that kind of just works. So you could have, a defined ab or pectoral muscle, for example, and similar to this, right? You have the thick black shadow there, and then you pull out the hatches from that, and it just makes it shows such a beautiful depth, because you've got the deepest part of where that muscle is indenting into the body, and then you can really see it just pulling out all these different surface forms that are happening across it.
Right.
There's a lot of really interesting things you can do with rendering.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for
Whenever I want to soften up my rendering, I just look at McFarlane's stuff, because he'll put rendering lines wherever, and it's so funny. I look at areas that look like it wouldn't even make sense, but he just kind of almost thinks texturally. I don't know, but he's got a very sporadic rendering style, and there's certain artists you can look at if you want to get better at tightening up your work, want to loosen up your work, just kind of these varieties,
Yeah,
But
definitely.
But yeah, your stuff's looking great, man. Where did we lose your screen? Was that all the samples you wanted to show?
One last thing, that was the last page I wanted to show you,
The
but
last
one
one?
last thing I wanted to tell everybody is that I'm working on my very first comic. It's a crowdfunded comic called Dwarf vs. Lion, and
Okay.
it's the first comic where I'm doing all the sequential pages. Is it sharing my screen?
Good job.
This is one of
Yeah.
the pages. It has a lot of. It's kind of like a fun book. So It's kind of a looser style, and there's a lot of manga influence. So I just wanted to show you one of the pages from my first comic, and if somebody's interested, they can check it out on Indiegogo. Dwarf vs. Lion. I think Clayton is already familiar with it, so
Yep.
yeah, this is one of the pages from it.
It's a great book. Very, very cool. And I love the way you guys have set this up as a campaign, the way you've managed to create this this competitive spirit within your supporters, and how it seems like that they're really helping to push it for you. So absolutely, so many great things going on with
Yeah,
this
and I guess
project.
my last question would be to Dave and Robert. If you think 50 diesel-powered dwarfs would win against one giant cyber lion, what's your team?
Okay. Now I got to go with the Cyber Lion, man. That just gives me Voltron vibes, and yeah, I'm gonna go with the Cyber Lion. I know there's safety in numbers, though.
If I have like 30 seconds, I can show you like one painting I did of the lion. If you want to see the lion.
Yeah, let's see it real quick.
I'm gonna stop sharing real quick.
Yeah, these dwarfs could quickly overwhelm you if there's enough of them.
Just a big lion fan.
Depends. Can you work well as a team, Rob? That's the question. Or
Right,
you work
right.
better as an individual lion.
Yeah, I'm kind of the solo lone wolf, lone lion type.
I'm not a Lion fan.
Well, and I'm
after
I
years
live
of
by-
Detroit Lions.
I was gonna say I'm from Michigan, Detroit Lions. The quarterback did just win the Super Bowl. He wasn't, on the Lions
With Lions
anymore.
yeah.
But he
I'm
managed
sharing
to.
my screen. Can you see the?
Oh yeah, here we go.
Right.
Sorry, we're digressing a bit. I bet
That is a great looking page.
that is cool. See, I'm going for the lion.
Thank you.
That gives me that reminds me of like Ryan Otley on Invincible.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
No, thank you very much.
You got
Well,
some
thanks.
serious skills.
Yeah,
Definitely.
for sure. Thanks for showing us. Hopefully it's an
Thank you,
Indiegogo campaign. How can
Yeah,
people find
Dwarf
it?
vs. Lion on Indiegogo.
Sorry.
What is it? How do you find it?
You can type dwarfs.com, DWARFS.com.
Oh, really?
Right.
You got
Not the
dwarfs.com?
correct spelling.
You got dwarfs.com?
How did you manage to get that? All right, I'm
The
sharing it in the chat.
The writer Brian is a genius. He does all that. I just draw the pictures.
It just seems like that name wouldn't be available. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
would think.
like Mickey Mouse would have bought that by now or something. Or Disney.
Yeah,
But yeah, I'm sharing that in the chat, so everybody's got it's obviously easy to remember.
Thank you
But
very
yeah,
much.
keep it up, man. And you got to be pretty young. How old are you?
I'm 23 years old.
Oh, you just got that baby face. But you're doing great for your age. I mean, that's some good stuff. So keep it up.
Yeah, thank you. And, like I said, I think I was on the first one and the second one. When you did this portfolio reviews and stuff. So all your advice has been really, really helpful. So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Hopefully we'll
You're
see you at the
welcome.
next one.
Yeah.
And
Yes, sir, guys.
before then too.
All right. So next we got. Well, hold on. Wait. That I see Alan Mata, but it says device is not connected. Wonder if he dropped out. I bet. Yeah. Well, I can't even click on it. So okay, that's weird. I just go to the next one, right? Clayton, help me here. You've been the tech guy.
If he can't be added, then
Yeah, I don't see an option for that. All right.
that might be on his end.
Alan, if you can hear us, I'm sorry for whatever reason.
He says I can just share screen, but
How do I do that?
but if you can't, are you able to add him in even with his devices not connected?
Oh wait, his other screen just popped up, so he can hear us.
Right.
But okay, goodness, I almost skipped over him. Okay,
Let's have a look.
yeah, it's actually us. Oh, creepy. Oh, there we go.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool. Yeah, I like them
Very
shadows.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's looking great.
I think I could see some Finch in there.
Yeah.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah. Anatomy, I think the leg that is lowered, that's straight, I think looks absolutely spot on. Great. Really, really nice.
Yeah, that's a hard one to get to. It's easy to make that look way too straight, and he's got a sense of curve there, roundedness.
Now the other leg, The lower leg looks great. Honestly, the whole thing is great. My only issue would just be the muscle just on top of the knee is shifted to the inside just a little bit.
Yeah.
So it should be shifted more to the top of the knee and it would be perfect. So I feel like it just kind of slides inward just a little bit. But
Yeah.
really, really nicely done. I love the rendering, like on his shoulder there with the spikes, those slightly larger render lines, like, and on his helmet too. It's really beautifully done.
Yeah, I love the smoke. The rolling smoke came out sweet.
Yep.
Yeah. So much character and movement.
Bless you.
Oh wow, that's great.
He's
Nice
trying to
one.
tell us something, folks. It's a clue. That's his name, and the numbers mean something. I don't quite get it. What's he doing? What are you doing? Do you want me to say your name? He's doing the Breaking Bad thing. Say my name. Say my name. All right. I don't know. It looks great. I mean, yeah, it really does. I mean, just here we go. Here we go. What's he got for us?
Just kiss.
Oh,
Kiss?
wait.
Cucks.
Just
Oh.
Just kiss
Oh, he
inks?
just did the inks.
Oh. All right.
Right.
Sorry.
nicely inked.
Yeah. No, really good inks. It's got a nice variety of the line weight to it.
Yeah, and actually a large part of what I was really, liking on it was the ink technique, the rendering technique across the head, across the eyes. That the reflective look, I think, looks really, really great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Can you zoom into his forearm, the one that's going straight into the ground there? Oh,
Oh, there it goes. And then
there we go. Yeah.
pull it up.
Look at that. That's cool. Yeah, it's tough to.
Yeah,
That's
there's a lot
good
of detail
inking.
in there.
That's really good inking. Sometimes inkers aren't quite or some inkers who are starting off aren't quite able to capture the line in the correct way. Sometimes it comes out too thick more often than not. But you've got some beautifully laid down lines here.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, is this your work? Whose work is this?
It's not mine. No.
Because that way that rendering was in that lower left is like a trademark rendering thing you do. Yeah. So, but you don't know what it is?
No.
Okay. Can you scribe that on the screen real quick, buddy? Whose work is this?
I like the character. It's a cool,
Yeah, it's pretty
like
cool.
an Ant-Man.
Yep.
Well, yeah, you did a great job inking it for sure.
Oh, Esquivel.
Esquivel?
Escobar, right? Cool.
Very,
good.
very nice.
Okay. Yeah, good job. So do you want to show any more? So you're just showing us inks, I take it. Oh, Black Panther, cool.
By Dr. Rock.
Oh, the YouTuber, Dr. Rock?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, the last one.
Cool.
was just there.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think on this I'd go heavier with line weight. Well, I'll let you guys handle it. I'm just spouting off at the mouth here.
Yeah, I think you're right. Heavier in the line weight with some of the figures in the foreground. I do like how you're breaking up the line for all of the table, those elements. It's nicely, broken and dotted. It might be almost a little bit too uniformly dotted, but really, nicely done. It doesn't look stiff at all. I think all in all, it's really nicely inked. I will say that her hair, I think some of the softness really could be a little stronger there. It looks a little bit choppy. So I would call hair a bit of a weakness and maybe something you want to work on just a little bit for inking.
Yeah. I can see you using line weights, which is great. I think about you know, how you might be able to implement them with even more purpose to get an even greater effect. Because where you have placed them, it looks really good, but there's also other things you can use them for to enhance the illustration further. So for example, in the middle panel, the middle large panel there, where her arm is kind of up with the screwdriver, she's screwing something in. You know, you got some great line weights around her forearm there, but then underneath her upper arm, you could have added in a nice line weight going in right underneath where her, I guess, bicep would be. And what that would do is indicate lighting direction and just, you know, make it look more three-dimensional in that way. Because at the moment, you know, the top of her arm almost has a darker line, very subtly darker line than that underside of her upper arm. So just things like that. Line weights can be used for a number of things. You know, I mean, Dave is a line weight master, really. I learned them from him, but it can be used to create a sense of closeness. You know, the thicker the line weight, the more closer something can look. Can be used to emphasize subject matter within the scene and lighting direction as well. So
I would say that I don't think... if I was thinking this, I don't think I could get away with thinking some of those background, like those long curving lines, without using some kind of a curve template. And there are different types. I've got this big, long, bendy kind of a ruler. You know, you can bend it into whatever shape, but it still gives you some nice flowing lines. Or you can use like a French curve or something like that. I think that it would really benefit from that. And then there are some places like on that robot's head there, where some of those curves I think could be a little cleaner as a result of using a curve. I hate doing it; it's a hassle, but it makes a difference. And this is the problem with inking: is you can get away with that with penciling more than inking, and I do think it would benefit from it on some of those lines.
I do like the details on the back of that techie stuff right there. Is it a helmet? It's pretty good detail work right there. Looks cool. But yeah, so I'm sorry, is that it? Did I just interrupt oddly?
Nope.
Okay. Just making sure. All right, so if you got any more, show it real quick. If not, we're going to try to pick up and move a little faster because I want to get some more people in. I don't know how much time you guys have, so you guys, you know, let me know as we're moving along here. I don't want to take too much of your time. But yeah, the work's looking good. Keep up the work on the inks, and thank you for showing. Oh, that's a nice car. Okay, so let's go to the next one, which is, and let me ask you guys real quick. What do you think is a good time frame for you? What are we looking at? What do you got in you?
Well, I'm reluctant to just throw out a number when I don't know how many people we have waiting.
Gotcha.
But,
Oh, you can't see the queue, can you?
No.
Oh, why is that? You should be able to see it. Okay,
Right.
sorry about that.
Able to before, but
yeah,
not
and I
before
don't
today, but in the past.
Right. Yeah, it seems like you'd be able to see it, but the maybe if your screen's not maximized, maybe you'd be able to see it. I don't know, but the thing is, we've got a few people in line 7, 8, and then I'm sure there's people behind them that are jumping in, so it's hard for me to tell.
Well, I think certainly we should probably cut the line there.
Okay, so finish up what we got then.
Yeah, and we will have to speed up, I would think, because we've gotten through 4.
Not that many. All right, let's do that. We're gonna speed up, folks, and then we're just gonna have to stop at what we have in the queue. And I know you probably can't see that, Dave can't. You probably can't as well. But there's about, let's see, let's do a count here. This one guy's already sharing the screen, or 2 people are. 5 or 6, maybe 7 at the most. But we're gonna start moving through a little quicker here. So let's do that. Alec, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay, let's. I see your screen, but it's not showing anything on the screen.
Yeah, I don't have anything up right now.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah.
There we go.
Here.
Okay, and let's keep it to 2 pieces so that we can.
That's all I got.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Sorry, I don't mean to be rushing you. We're just trying to get some more people in.
I totally understand.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was here the first two you did. I don't know if you've done any in the meantime, but that was like 2020 or something like that. Gave me some great feedback. David gave me some excellent remarks and some great inspiration. I asked, like, hey, do you think I could make a run at this professionally? And you said, yeah, just keep it up. So this is something that I recently did.
Great texture.
It's not a totally finished. There's some stuff in here I gotta still do and whatnot, but for the most part, it's pretty much there. It's kind of it's a bit of a rush job. I've got a lot of pages to finish by tomorrow, so yeah, been kind of pushing through, but this is one of them.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I love the textures. Really, really effective use of textures. The angle works really well. It's very dramatic. The lighting is very, very consistent. It really focuses in on that door. I think it's a really, really effective page.
Yeah, lots of drama, lots of intensity.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
And I love how much shadow you've placed in there, and how it sort of frames the main focus, which would be the bear or the monster or the creature that's on the other side of that door. Just that high level of contrast. It's kind of like really black frame around the outside edges, and then we've got white, and then we've got this big black figure in the middle, which just pulls you straight to it. So
yeah, very, very cinematic.
Fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this looks like it could be a shot from a movie very easily. And the border on the ground there, or border, I'm not sure. Our logos are hiding that, but it looks cool. And the other thing I was going to say as well is just with the helmets of the guards, I love that you don't have any rendering on them. You've kept it very clean and very simple. And usually I love adding in the details and really rendering every inch of it out, but I think there is certainly something to be said for negative space and how effective it really can be when you leave certain sections of the composition breathe more.
I really like the arm in the upper right of the picture. The other, well, they both look great, but that one there, the rendering I think is very, very effective. It really rounds that arm nicely. It looks really solid.
Yeah, it doesn't look flat. It actually looks like it's going towards the perspective and everything. It reads really well.
I would say, in terms of what I don't like, the top of the boot on that same figure, I feel like looks a little. It could use a little bit more realization. And I'm not super crazy about the shine circles. I think it would actually be even stronger if you just left those completely blank, especially the ones that are through the glass there. Having like shine marks that are still dark on the inside seems very counterintuitive.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, just more drama, but no, it totally makes sense.
I like the design of the door. I think that's really cool. There's not a lot I can pick apart about this page, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because usually when you incorporate like a lot of texture like that, it doesn't read well, but somehow you got it to blend in there and work well. It doesn't seem like too much. It's more texture than I would ever add to something, but it's only because I know I would somehow mess it up.
I've been looking at so much Jorge Jimenez, and he's very textured right now. And you want to try some of that, I love that style.
Yeah, him and Sean Murphy.
They're both great with that.
Those are the two I'm kind of like looking at, because I don't actually ever do this much texture. I actually don't even really ink my own stuff. I usually pencil, but for this project, I'm inking.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, do you have another page for us?
I do. It is a. Let's see. Let me get it up here.
Looks even better because we were missing the bottom. The whole page just holds together nicely. Yeah, it's a great shot.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you. Here's the other one I did. This is
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
pencil inked and colored by me.
Yeah, that's sweet.
For my part, I would have no commentary on that other than it looks like it's a Marvel cover, and I
Right.
think a very nice one that people would be happy to buy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's very cool. I love the background.
And
It's
the detail
spider
on-
webs, but psychedelic kind of.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
The
cool.
background is. I was looking at the detail on the eyes,
Right.
all the cracks and everything. It was really nice, but that background is. I don't think I've ever seen it done quite that way.
Right.
Very
Very original.
It's webby. Very
That is a
webby.
super,
webby.
super strong picture.
You nailed the webbiness.
Yeah,
Thanks. Yeah, Ryan Benjamin, who I'm sure you know, he has his own sort of course that he teaches, and with Will Spartasio and Alex Sinclair and
Oh, cool.
Carlos Dienda. And so this was an assignment for like the final week or whatever, or final month. They were like, all right, each week you're going to pencil, ink, color, yada, 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 concept.
That's cool.
And so they were like, here's your brief from an editor. Spider-Man and Superman have to fight, and Spider-Man is all mutated. And so make the issue number 1 cover.
There you go. That does it.
Awesome. Yeah, that looks good.
It's simple but really effective. Really powerful.
Oh, I was just going to say, it goes to show how a simple design, and I don't think cover artists, especially maybe independent cover artists, think of doing it enough. This is a cover like this is going to attract attention immediately on a comic book shelf, more so than let's say a cover with a bunch of characters on it. Because
Right.
when we do a comic, we want to have a ton of characters on the front of it, like bursting out of the page, and that can be impactful. But sometimes just a big head that's looking straight at you,
Yeah.
with
Does the trick.
somewhat of an interesting background can be just enough. I think Todd McFarlane sort of knew that with a lot of his covers. He'd have usually one or two figures on there, big and impactful, and it'd be enough.
Yep.
he was a great is a great designer.
Right. Yeah. You can see the design elements really well in his work. And that's what this is. It's and I don't mean to say simple. It's not simple because it's well executed and there's a lot of art in the design.
Mhm.
But the big shapes, the idea works, the reflection of the Superman logo. I mean, it's all just works really well. And it's it's simple, but it's still you packed a lot of good stuff in there. And yeah, it reads really well. So I don't know. I don't know how to critique that. You should have added a couple more eyes.
Yeah, I actually
No,
work
looks
as a
great.
visual designer full time.
Oh, there you
So,
go.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So
So yeah, it's unfair. There
you have
you
an
go.
unfair advantage. Exactly.
I just wanted to show you guys what I was doing the last time you critiqued my work.
Oh, to see the progression. Yeah, I think I remember it. The silhouettes and the mountain scene off in the background. Yeah, I
It's a
remember
big
it.
difference. It really is.
Yeah,
big,
huge
big
jump.
difference. And there were some really nice things going on there, but yeah, you've really come a long way.
Yeah, you sure
Yeah.
did.
This
Good
is,
job, man.
Thanks. Yeah, and so I've just been plugging away,
Yeah. Well, it helps you studying from Wells Portacio, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, absolutely
sure
phenomenal.
Mm. So, what do you think has been the biggest thing that you've learned between then and now? Some of the biggest takeaways that you feel like have made a real impact on your work?
That's a great question. I think doing the heavy lifting up front. And so by that, I mean if I'm spending 50% of my time on the concept, I'll spend 50% of the time or less on the actualization of it. And so thinking and solving the problem before doing has been tremendous for me. That and
Well put, man. Well put.
Great answer.
Yeah.
being as loose and lively as possible in those early stages as well with pencils.
Oh, so you don't do my thing where you just jump in and you freak out in the middle? Oh, okay. No, that's a
Back up
good
into the
answer,
wall.
man. There's a lot of thought process that goes into making good designs, good execution. Yeah, well said. I'm going to take some notes on that. So thank you.
Both those points are really good points that everyone watching can take away, and it will
Right.
be a huge difference
Yeah.
in their work.
Yeah, sometimes we get caught up in thinking, well, I'm just going to jump in and do the thing. And there's a time for that as well. But yeah, if you can go in with a game plan, you're going to do a lot better. Not get so frustrated and stressed out and turn your hair gray like myself. But yeah, thanks so much, Alec. We're going to get moving to the next one. You're doing
no worries.
fantastic, man.
Yeah.
So keep it
Thanks,
up.
fellas. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, really good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
No doubt. All right.
Incredible.
And so next we've got Pat, and I'm just going to say Pat because I'll slaughter the last name.
Hey, Pat.
How you doing,
It's
Pat?
Minuti.
Sorry.
Thank you. Hey, it sounds Italian.
It is.
Hey,
You're not wrong.
paisan.
No one could pronounce it though, so don't worry.
Minuti. Now I know. I just need to hear you say it.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go.
So what do you
I
got?
don't want to waste. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but
You're good.
because I know it's been a long stream already. But I just want to say, like, it's kind of surreal to be like in the same space as David Finch. I love all you guys, honestly. Like, you know, Robin, Clayton, you guys all have really great work, but Dave, especially,
Dave's up
is
here.
just
We get it.
You know,
Dave's the man.
You understand what I'm saying? Just like
Oh,
I
yeah.
was born in 2001, and I don't know when Ultimatum came out, or Moon Knight, but I just remember, like, you know, looking at that art just brings me back, and it's, you know,
Right.
crazy.
Born in
to be in the same
2001.
space. Yeah,
I know it. Don't we feel old, right?
Yeah,
I
Moonlight
thought I was young.
2006, 2007.
Not anymore, Clayton.
I'm 20.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah,
You're a young buck. Oh, there you go. There's your screen. You're on the ball, aren't you, Pat?
Yeah, so
All right,
I actually have
so
some
yeah.
Moon Knight samples. Just funny coincidence, but here's the first page of what I got going on. This is Clip Studio, but I'll just zoom in here.
Got some
I am working off a script, but tried to, like, obviously draw with the intent that you, like, can still understand what's going on without having dialogue. But yeah.
Yeah, right. Well,
and Moon Knight is a great character because, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but, like, I didn't have to color him. You don't really kind of get away with not having the color because it just terrifies me.
Well, I really think when you're learning and trying to get to the point where you're able to get work, you're better off to focus anyway. So I mean, some people can do color and everything all at once, but that's it's rare, and I wouldn't want to try it. I didn't try inking for 15 years probably while I was working. I'd only penciled. I would say the things that are strong are very, very strong, really strong. Like I love the guy sitting at the table, the guy with the tattoos. His hands are great. His pose, just all the way around. I really like what you're doing with faces. I feel like proportionally, they kind of slide just a little bit here and there. Like his face is, to me, it's come off of the form just a little bit on that face with the spikes. So if it was just a little toward the far side of his face, if it just inched over just a little bit his eyes, really the whole face on that head, I think it would be more accurate. But like it's a great looking face. I love the line weights. Just overall the feel of the page. You've got some really great textures, like with the zipatone, that kind of thing is really nice. All of your, I said line weights already, but really, the line weights are really strong. It looks like your anatomy is actually very strong. I don't 100% like how you're defining some of it. Like on the guy's back there, I can see the back of his arm. There are a few places where the top of his elbow, that line gets pretty thick, considering you're kind of looking up at it. So it kind of conflicts and ends up looking a little bit drawn on versus looking like anatomy that that sits. But that is honestly, in my opinion, looking at this is a problem that you will sort out in very little time. The folds on his pants are really nicely done, really, really sensitive.
Thank you.
Yeah, the things that work are so good. Like, to me, looking at this, I feel like this looks like early work from someone who turns out to be phenomenally good. And I mean, that's really, it's got to be your choice, because I've seen really great work like this from people that end up not going anywhere, and that's only ever because they stop. So do not stop, because really, I think you could do really great work. I love that he's pulling his coat off, the folds into that in the arm there. It kind of reminds me of I need to stop trying to come up with names because I can't remember anybody's name on here, but there's a great DC cover artist that I really love. He's got a really interesting kind of a style and reminds me of that.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys know Evan Shaner. He's like, he does what's it called? I think the Human Target or something for DC. He's like a huge influence of mine just because he has like such a style that like is, you can tell there's so much thought and like care put into that to like evoke a certain feeling and vibe. And like you just look at a page and it's like so kind of, you know, you're just like taken aback by like not even like the artwork, but like just like the choice of like tones and like the whole just feeling of the page, if that makes any sense. Like he has a simplistic style, but you can really just totally grasp everything he's trying to say, and like he does it with such finesse and such like minimalism almost. So you know, I get so scared with, you know, the heavy shadows, and even though I love your work so much, Dave, it's like I don't have the confidence to just like go in on these people and, you know, put in the like spot the black. So I'm not at that level yet, but you know, I try to just make it work for what it is.
I think it is.
Yeah. I can, so I only have this first page completely finished, but I have this second page kind of just a work in progress. And this is the page I really wanted to draw. Just wanted to get the first page out of the way, but you had a lot. I tried to really push like the interesting shots in this one. So, but yeah, obviously it's still really rough, but you know, trying to just make it dramatic and stuff like that. Try to work on like my composition and stuff, but it's, you know, I've found that that's like something you really need to work on if you want someone to like really get the drama and like emotion out of a panel. It's like knowing like how to not know how to draw, but like where to draw and like where to not draw almost. It's so, you know, definitely been trying to learn all that.
That first panel, I think it looks great. I love that hand that's popping out.
Yeah, I think it's a swipe from you. Probably.
It looks great. It really, really worked. I could complain and say I don't like it when something pops out of a panel and points to a panel. Like if you're going to pop something out of a panel, you really want to point it toward the next panel and not a few panels later, ideally. I think you can get away with that. It's like a rule for me. And I don't know. I have a lot of rules that, you know, probably I would benefit from breaking a little more often, but I'm just going to say that. All in all, I do feel like the top panels, in terms of size, they are a little bit similar, and the focal point, like the heads, really line up with each other very evenly. So, compositionally, I think it could be stronger, and I hate to say that because each panel, just taken as itself, aside from the center panel, to me is a little flat. But that third panel with the gun, phenomenal panel, really nicely drawn. I love the gun. Like it's a great panel. I think it's the second panel for me it just feels flat compared to
it's funny that you like mentioned the second panel because before I had it like just like it was almost like a really like close-up shot of just his face, and he was just shocked by it. And I got like the same feeling that it was super flat, and it was like almost like kind of like lazy of me to just like give like half of a face. And I was like, well, maybe if I like bring the camera out a little bit, and you know, I don't know. I kind of see what you mean. It didn't come out exactly how I mentioned or imagined it, but I don't know if what I could do to maybe make this like stronger. He's sort of like getting up from the table, like you have this previous page, and so I guess basically the continuity is that he just got up and is, I guess, holding his hand up. But
so
I don't know.
I feel like the close-up would work better.
Okay.
Because then at least you're going, you know, kind of changing the tempo. Because you got to remember the panel sizes are one aspect of the tempo, right? Being, you know, like beats. Well, if you have the impact, then a close-up, then that long drawn-out perspective, at least then you're kind of varying it up a little. I don't know. To me, that would work a little bit better, and it would take away from them being like Dave said, the heads are all lined up like this, so it's too even, you know.
Right.
But at least a close up would break that right? Would that look better or no? Or would you not do a close up?
I think it would look better. I don't know that it would make it more clear though,
Right.
because it doesn't read as like his placement. Even with looking at the first page, like I feel like I get a little lost with where he would be, and I think I would even prefer if panel 1 and 2 were just put into one panel, so you've got the guy getting punched while the other guy is getting up, and you can see him in the background there. So you see the foreground, and it's that, and then behind them or in front of them, whichever, you see him starting to get up, and then he points the gun. I think that would be stronger because otherwise it looks a little isolated.
Gotcha.
Even though, and you do show it in the next panel, but I think it would flow better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, presenting that spatial awareness for the reader so that they have a really clear understanding as to where everyone is in the room at the same time. And I noticed that even in my own work, I had to do that a lot. It's almost like you want to remind the reader where everyone is within the scene. Just every now and again, you can have close-up shots for sure, for drama, and to really up the ante a little bit on the situation happening. But just every now and then, throw in a panel where it shows the guy in the background that is here,
Absolutely.
You get where I'm going with this anyway, right? But that final one where he is pointing the gun at the guy, you could probably do a close up if you had like the barrel there and then you had his like face kind of zoomed in. If you wanted to make it more dramatic,
like push the foreshortening.
Push the foreshortening. Yeah, you could have that gun right in front of his face if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think I literally just searched up like a reference image. Like I had like the idea of like the shot I had in mind, and like I just searched it up and didn't even give it a second thought. But I love the idea of like what Dave said about merging these two panels, because I think well, once you said the head thing, I couldn't stop thinking about that, and I was like, I need to erase this immediately. But it was like once you said the idea of having him in the background, I was like, oh, that's a no-brainer, because like what you said about the spatial awareness, like I always want to like I really did try to keep that in mind, and like with the first one, I always tried to make it seem like there was a table there, and like
perfect example. Yeah,
you somewhat knew what you were doing. Yeah, so in like even going into the second page, like I wanted to do like a Frank Miller shot, but I wanted to still have the table, because I was like, okay, like you have this guy who's like on the ground, and you have like this shot, but you still have an idea of where you're at. But I think that that advice is really helpful. Thank you. I'm definitely going to do that.
I hate to give you that advice though, because I love that punching arm and that whole thing quite a bit. I think it looks so great. So I hate to say anything that would change that.
Well, I'll probably keep that. I'll just erase the middle panel and I'll just make it work. I'll probably do like a grid.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad, because I think that I love that arm. That little bit of fold he's got right in his elbow there. It looks great. It's breaking up just a little bit here and there, but when it does show, it looks.
Well, that's really your video on.
Oh, I know.
On exactly that. It was so helpful.
There we go.
I was like, I was like, you made it so simple too. It was like you have the shapes, and then it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, that is where it would fold. So, I have to really thank you for that. Yeah. I mean, you have a whole bunch of them at this point, so it's just so. I mean, nowadays you have so much, but so I mean, it just kind of ends with him like. I guess this doesn't really make like a ton of sense, because like if he gets shot in the leg, then like he would fall like this, like forward. But in this panel, it's kind of done like a 180. So like, I just imagine like he would have started crawling behind. Like, I don't know. I just like
it works. I don't have any problem with that. I think I love the shot. By the way, it's just compositionally the panel works great. I love how it flows into the next page or the next panel, which is a really great shot.
Yeah, and I wanted people to see that he was like rolling up his sleeves and like didn't just like missing an arm. Like I didn't want that to be a thing that was like only visible to like very visible to me in my head, because I'm the one drawing it. Like this is kind of like, and I don't even really know how like the hand would really look here, so it just kind of is like a random thing of lines. I don't know.
I might consider just having somebody take a picture of you. In that pose, because to me his shoulder. The other shoulder raised up. I don't know. I think I would lower. I would because you've got his right hip lifted, I would lower his right shoulder, and just from a body flow perspective, I think it would work better. But really, I think just taking a photograph, having somebody take a photograph of you doing that, would totally solve that problem.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So is he? He's just got his leg shot, right?
Yeah.
And then in the following panel, what happened? What's happening there? Is he still standing up?
So he's on the ground because he can't obviously stand anymore, and then.
Oh, I see now. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Had the completely wrong perception of what was happening there.
Okay.
I thought they were. I thought that was an eye level perspective, and he had just turned around or something.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. No, yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it is like confusing because he is like all of a sudden just like turned around. But yeah, I mean, like I, trying to keep it to like a small, like I don't know, minimum of panels as I need.
For sure.
And just trying to get like, I guess I had the idea of him like stepping on his head, and so I was like, well, he needs to be turned around for that to work, and I was like, I really want to do this, so. But yeah, I mean, I don't really know how many pages of this I really plan on doing, but I don't really do a lot of sequential art. That's the thing, is I really wanted to have this done before I showed it to you guys. But yeah, I mean, just these two are like the main things I have to show you. I have like some old stuff that I'm not really proud of this anymore, just because like I've done this like, this is like I think like 6 months ago or something.
No old stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But Pat, stuff is looking better.
Yeah, but Pat, the stuff you showed us is looking great. Just keep it up, man. And we'll be doing more of these hopefully, so it'll give you a chance to show even more of your work. And keep in mind too, you got the different sites like How to Draw Comics on the Facebook group. You can always share work there and get some feedback. But the stuff's looking great, and I really appreciate you showing up today. Okay, buddy?
That is
thank you guys so much.
Yep, thank you.
It's been
nice
awesome.
to meet you, Pat.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
It's really looking great. I think
thanks.
really well.
Awesome. See you guys.
Yeah. Bye. Okay, so next we've got Paul here. Paul?
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
Oh, so far so good.
You have like a
Thanks for having me.
Better quality camera than us or something. That's not good.
Yeah, I hooked up my DSLR.
Oh yeah.
I used to be a photographer, so yeah, might as well use it sitting there doing nothing.
Might as well. What do you got? So you got you already got a screen up here. Let's see. Add the stream. All righty.
So this is part of a 4-page thing, and it's from script. I figure we'll just do these two, I guess.
Okay. Yep. All right, dig in, you guys.
All right. So yeah, this was a collaboration from an artist that found me on a Facebook group page. A writer. And
cool.
Yeah, this is all digital, which I'm not really used to doing, but I figured I'd give it a shot. How far in do you want me to go with these?
All right, that's good. That's a good distance for me. Is it a campfire? Are they camping, right?
Yes. In the first shot, it's an establishing up there.
Gotcha.
And now they're telling stories and, scary woods and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And a werewolf bursts in on him?
And then a werewolf, he's up above, yeah. And he comes in. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Really strong lighting. And not just well lit, but also well composed with lighting. Like I never feel like, aside from, there's one panel where you're looking in from above and I can see the werewolf in the foreground. He's shadowed. And then that panel there, I don't feel like works as well as the others. But that's really the one panel, just in terms of composition, I think that could be stronger. The other ones, like that's a great panel. I like how you framed it. That one too, and nicely framed around the head. And between those 3 panels of the face, well, I think they're all the same. Are they? Anyway, they don't look like they're. Yeah, it's a different person. They don't look like they're just stacked. Head. It really, and I feel like I can see that they're looking at each other like it's flowing. Just compositionally, it looks great. It's a different style than what I do. Like it's more of a it's more stylized. So, but I think It's very, very strong. The werewolf looks really good. I will say I don't like his, again, I'm such a nitpicker, and I apologize right now, but
It's fine.
his vein on his arm, you've got
that one, yeah.
sides. You've got both sides of that vein kind of defined with a fairly thick line, which makes it look like it's a little drawn on there, as opposed to, because it's lit from the firelight, I would just completely eliminate the inside line there, and it would read more like a shadowed vein.
Yes, it would.
For sure. And,
go
ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I started this whole thing on a tablet where you got to look at the screen. You know, you can't draw on the tablet and look at what you're drawing. It's so much harder.
Oh, yeah.
And then I ended up going back and redoing a lot of it on the iPad, but a lot of it stayed. Like that vein was part of the looking away thing. But anyway, yeah, excuses. I have a lot. Sorry.
I'll do.
Yeah.
Let's say I'll listen to that because I use the device where you draw on the screen like the iPad Pro, but Clayton won't because he draws on the other type of tablet, and he somehow figured it out. So
I think the next time I do sequentials, this is one of the first times. This is the first time I've ever done it from a script. I've had a couple that I've practiced on my own, just making up a story, but yeah, this is going off a script, and this is what I end up with. Is this all right to show? A little bit of bloody bits?
It's looking great.
Yeah.
A lot of character, too. You know what? It's really strong stuff.
Yeah. Nice intensity.
I would imagine the writer's pretty happy.
He seems to be. It's hard. I haven't actually spoken to him. It's all text, so it's hard to...
Every time I work with a writer, I always assume they hate what I'm doing, and then I drive myself crazy. And,
brings out the best in you, right?
Yeah.
But around this face is when I started to switch to the iPad, and it was better to see what I was drawing on.
Yeah.
But next time, I think I'll just do it traditionally, and then take a photo of it and put it in, and do it then.
Yeah, and one quick tip there, just to try it out, because you really want to play with all those different tools and see what you can get the best out of certain areas. I've actually found lately that drawing the pose on the tabletop tablet, the one that you got to look up at the screen, forces you to be looser, right? And then take it to your other device to tighten up the work. I've done that a few times, and it's come out pretty good. It's, again, something about that lack of control that you might be feeling. Sometimes you want to embrace that. Just like if you hold the pencil at the back of the pencil to do your gestures, they generally come out a little better. If you tend to tense up too much like I do. Anyways.
To draw with more like your shoulder and elbow and stuff.
Yeah, you got some more flow in there, right? Artsy-fartsy stuff.
Everyone loves a little artsy-fartsy.
A little artsy-fartsy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice stuff.
And then, I don't know. And that was that one. The last bit. But that's just not really much storytelling there.
Yeah, I like how the red makes it pop, though. That's cool.
Yep.
That was not my decision. That was the writer's. He just wanted the red in it. So I was like, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Little Red Riding Hood.
I went back and changed the fire. I went back and looked at some old image books for some fire. And it was funny.
That before.
Dave, I looked at this medieval Spawn Witchblade comic. You see that one?
Yeah, Brandon Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah. And on the very first page, there's a bench, a park bench. If you look down here, it's got David Finch carved into it. Pretty funny.
I think it's got everybody.
It's got lots of names in there.
That's awesome.
I was like, it's a nice little detail, nice little shout out. Hey.
Yeah, well, we were all in the same studio when he was drawing that stuff. So,
So you didn't actually go over and put your own name on it?
I didn't.
Question. Okay.
Because that would have been,
That would have been funny though. Anyway.
Nice.
So yeah, well, thanks guys. I don't want to take up too much time. So
it's looking good.
Strong looking stuff. It's very stylized, but very consistently stylized, and I think excitingly framed. The lighting is very, very effective. A really, really difficult lighting choice too. Which I mean, you were forced.
It wasn't my choice. He said the whole thing is going to be lit by the fire.
But you made it work. And I think it's more powerful the way you lit it than.
I changed it on the last one though. I was like, I'll just.
As she's far enough from the fire,
Yeah. So.
Yeah. All in all, very, very strong.
Thank you. Alrighty. Well, bounce.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks, guys.
Keep it up, man.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah.
See you.
Ya. Okay, and we just got a couple more. Is that cool, guys? Or
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
let's see. So we got David here. So I've got a screen here. Can you hear us, David?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay.
Am I like too loud or?
No, but your face is really round.
Well, I don't have a webcam. My apologies.
That's fine. All right, let me share your screen here.
All right.
And
I just have to say one thing.
Yeah, go
This
ahead.
is actually my first comment page. Like, I've been working on this single page for 5 months.
Goodness.
I have a mentorship with Walden Wong. I'm sure you know him.
Oh yeah. He's inker. He's great.
Yeah, he's great. He's amazing. But he's been helping me out a lot. And I also have like, I don't know if you want to say like the very like first like beginning of this page, like the first sketch I did for it, or I don't know if you want to. That's up to you because I have that too.
Sure.
All right. It's terrible, but
interesting to see how it developed.
Yeah. I got you. Give me 1 second.
So I'm going to say while you do that, I think the faces in the second and third panel, aside from one, the smallest face I think gets a little short in the jaw.
Yeah, I realized that myself, but a lot of it's incomplete. This whole thing's not finished yet. I'm very indecisive in what I want to do. Like these two, it's also because I actually study a lot more manga than I do American comics, so I got into the habit of instead of going left to right, right to left. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it, the order of it's actually wrong. So I have to eventually flip that, like digitally, fix that up. But like I was gonna try to do if it lets me share this.
Lost the screen there.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
All right, so this is like the first. It was terrible. It was horrible. Still horrible, but like not as. I don't think it's as terrible.
Stop calling your work horrible. You learn by everything, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like so, I'm very inspired by like a lot of Japanese artists too, especially Hiroki Araki. So especially on like this left panel right here, the faces are very similar to like what he does a little bit. And then I eventually, with the help of Watermore, I was able to like slowly transition and like find more people and like fine tune everything down a little bit. And then now I'm very inspired by like Overwatch, like their art style, like the Blizzard art style, stuff like that is inspiring me like a lot more now. So I'll go back to the other page. Just want to show you that.
I think the faces are definitely much stronger in the second page.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and then this is a Weapon H script I was working off of, and then so these two right here, it's supposed to be in a hospital scene. So the second thing right here, I've redone this. I don't know how many times. So this single panel right here has been messing me up so badly because perspective is also like a little wonky, and then also it's supposed to be like a surrounding scene, but I didn't know how to quite do that in like a very narrow hallway. So I was thinking about like just having it switch from like, if you look on top of it, it starts with them like looking forward and then they kind of turn around. But I didn't know how to like do that to make it look like they're being surrounded by robots. And obviously, like I said, it's not all finished, so it's not all completely there yet. But
I would say this is where sketching would really help. Like the faces that are there, I think are really strong for the most part. Aside from the first face, and I realized you're going to switch it, but the first face, I feel like in terms of his jaw, it gets a little, it's a little not right.
Yeah.
And some of the lighting, it could definitely be better for sure. The other faces I think are really strong. And it looks like you have quite a bit of confidence and practice in drawing that sort of thing, and I think you would really benefit from sketching more, and trying to sketch. A good exercise. I saw James Jean. I have a book of his, and most of the book is him just drawing people at the airport, just drawing these whole scenes with ballpoint pen, and they're incredible. And I would recommend, maybe trying that. It'd give you a sense of drawing, just simple scenes like that. Or, looking through comics. If you look through a book and you can find a scene that's similar, it doesn't need to be the same background. You just need the same basic angle, and you can put your own detail into it. But trying to do it the way that you're trying, just on your own, with no real roadmap. And Clayton was talking about this earlier. It's an impossibility, and I think that's why you're struggling with that panel so much. Is you just have no information to put into it. You need to kind of develop that. And if that's taking a photograph of some people in an environment, and that's helpful, or whatever it is, you need to get some kind of reference for that.
All right.
And it could just be anatomy reference, like there's a lot of muscles in the human body, and it's a lot to remember for our brains. Eventually you can get a solid idea, but if you really want to nail it, it's just good to have some references up. Just have a folder of anatomy references that you open up when you go to draw people. Get up some of your favorites. There was a really great book. It was about bodybuilding, actually, and it had these gorgeously illustrated examples of the human body and different muscles throughout it. I wish I could remember the name of it, but we have Google these days. We have the internet. Very easy to find this stuff.
I'll tell you a good one is anatomy for it's for sculpting, for like ZBrush sculptors. It's called Anatomy for Sculptors. Let me see. I'll see if I can grab it. It's really good. I mean, what it does, it shows you the muscle breakdowns. There's another one by Roberto Asti too, which is really good. But what's neat about the 3D sculptor ones, it seems to address like a lot of the tough angles and forms that we can easily mess up. And I find that the ones that teach it for sculpting are so great for drawing, because sculptors have to be amazing at anatomy. You know what I mean? They can stylize it, of course, but they got to get really knowledgeable of it. So yeah, I'll grab the book while you guys talk.
Yeah, I have a feeling as well, and I know I wouldn't have taken this advice if it was being said to me when I was first starting out. So I don't know how you'll feel about it, but I feel like at this point, the shadows and the rendering might be getting in the way of some of the fundamentals that still need to be addressed within some of your characters. So this would be things like form and shape. If you could just focus on getting your form and shape down, like Joe Mad style, right? That would do a lot of the work for you. If you could just master those outlines, placing in the shadows and the rendering, it requires some finesse, of course, but it'd be sort of a breeze after you've got that basic form and shape down. So I would say go back and really kind of focus on that, even if you were drawing comic book pages with just an outline, with the muscles outlined and whatnot. That could be something to focus on that would really improve the direction of your work.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I appreciate the feedback. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, good luck. Keep it up. And like Dave said, reference other panels, and it can really speed you along. It's probably pound for pound the thing that's going to make you the fastest, give you the fastest growth, and allow you to complete panels and pages while learning. I mean, really nothing beats that, if you think of it that way. That book was Anatomy for Sculptors. Really recommend it. It's a ton of great resource information in there. So thank you, David, for showing up. We're going to move on to the next one, and keep up the nice work.
Sorry, thank you.
Yep, bye-bye.
Thank you. Yeah, I wrote down Anatomy for Sculptors. I'm gonna look it up.
It's a good one. Yeah, you'll dig it. I mean, you like sculpting in ZBrush too, don't you?
I do. I haven't done it for so long. I'd have to relearn it now, but yeah,
it's fun, and it's like riding a bike. Don't worry.
Yeah. I just need to have a minute of time.
I know. It's hard to find the time to get into all these different things that are of interest. Giselle, I don't see. Can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I don't see your other your screen though. We got to move pretty fast here because these guys have been very gracious with their time. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I actually was intending to cut off the camera. I didn't want to expose myself, but I didn't want to keep myself out again.
Yeah, don't expose yourself.
I
don't see you on the screen though.
Oh, awesome. I will make this very quick. It is an honor to be among you guys, and thanks so much for this opportunity. So with that out of the way, I will go straight to showing my sequentials here.
Okay.
Okay, just make sure I don't press the wrong thing here, so I don't kick myself out. Sure.
Not seeing it yet.
It did give the option to select the camera.
There's a share. You see the share button in the bottom middle, right?
Yes, sir.
And you click that, and you can select the screen. Do you have
Share.
What screen do you have up right now? It looks like a phone.
Yes, sir. And it just shows, or it just says slides.
If you click share, you should have camera or share screen. Do you see share screen?
I do show share, yes. Share. And it gives the option slides.
Oh. What device are you on?
Android Galaxy 8.
On your phone?
So you should be able to bring it up on your phone right now. It looks like you're sharing your phone.
Yes, sir.
Can you just bring the image up on your phone?
That's what I'm trying to do right now because I tested it before I jumped on.
What happens if you go to the slides? Can you get your images up if you do click slides?
Share, then it just goes to slides. Goodness.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, but we're gonna have to move past because
Absolutely.
we're running over, and I'm really sorry to say that, but
So sorry.
Yeah,
no, totally understandable.
I'll
Well,
tell you what, if you send me some of your work to ramstudiocomics.com, you go to my website. There's a form there. You can send me the work. I'll take the time to look it over. If the guys have time, I'll send it over to them so they can review it. But I'll, at the least, I can do that for you. Okay?
Absolutely, and I can send you my questions there too.
There you go. Yep.
But again, thank you so much for having me, and you all have a great night.
You too.
You're welcome.
Take care.
Thank you.
Oh, so sorry about that. So yeah, and I just want to run this by you guys. We got 2 more and then we're done. Is that okay or no?
Perfect.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You sure? Okay. Sorry, Dave. I know you just want to punch me right in the face, don't you?
Well,
and the bad thing is you live close enough to do it. That's what's scary. Okay.
Well, Clayton, what is it? 5 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what time is it there.
It's actually it's like just 1:52 p.m. So just past my lunchtime, but that's all good.
Oh, okay.
Clayton's hungry.
Yeah.
See, I don't got to worry about Clayton. He's way off in another country. He can't come hunt me down. So
no.
Aman,
I wouldn't mess with you, Robert. You're probably like a head taller than me, so you know.
You know how they say, bigger they are, harder they fall. Okay, so Aman, good to have you back.
Yeah, I just want to apologize about that. It looks like there was some sort of Wi-Fi issue going on, so I'm really sorry about that.
Oh, nothing
I'm really
to apologize
sorry
for.
to hound you guys. Warning you guys about this, and I'm sure you're like, oh god, let's get rid of this guy already. So I'll make it quick as fast as I can. So the last time I was here, I showed you guys this.
Yep.
These
Bring that up.
Loomis method studies that I did.
Great.
And then another thing I actually wanted to show you was here, let me turn this off because it's kind of getting in the way. This is something I'm trying to work on for my comic book. I apologize if it's light, but I'm trying to keep it as light as possible just because. But this is like what I'm kind of
Can't
doing.
make it out. Can you guys see that?
No. Maybe if you pull it back towards yourself just a little further from the camera, turn it around there.
Turn it around now. Turn
you
it
like
around. Turn it around. Flip it.
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
sorry
there we
about
go.
that. Here. So this is
Oh,
something.
Yeah, we can't see that.
I can't see it.
Oops.
What's the other
But
page?
that's-
We could see the other stuff.
Yeah, I apologize about if you can see that, but like that's what I was kind of trying to get at. Basically, that's for something that I'm trying to work on for my comic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
what
what
was-
I'm. I'm sorry.
What were some of the Was there anything in particular you wanted to ask us, like things that are popping up for you in that page that we could help you out with?
Yeah. I think first off, I think there's so many questions I can't really picture what, but with my Loomis head studies.
Yeah, those are nice.
Yeah, thank you. The only, I guess, takeaway, like the only concern I have is like, Clayton, I was on your How to Draw Comics website, and I know there was like you had like a blog post about like breaking down the head into like simple shapes, and I just don't know. I feel like there's a part of me that feels like I haven't kind of achieved that, if you know what I mean.
I gotcha. Yeah. So that's really what that's going to help you out with is the forms of the head. And the reason that you want to break the head down, which is a very complex thing to draw, into basic forms to begin with, is that if you can turn those forms around in 3D space, that means that you're going to be ahead when it comes to drawing the head in its full glory, its eyes, its ears, its mouth, its nose, from different directions. But if you don't understand those basic forms and you can't turn them around effectively, even on a simple level, then you know that you're going to run into trouble.
Right.
You know that you're maybe not quite ready. So at least understanding the basic forms of the head is the most important thing, and that's why you study them. And you could just draw those simple shapes from multiple directions on their own, join them together. So once you've understood them on their own, join them together, then try to draw them from different directions together.
Okay.
And then start plotting out the facial features on top of that. Now, you might not need to go through all that stuff to draw a head from different angles. It depends on your preferred approach. You know, I think that's a really good idea if you want to have a solid understanding of what's happening when you're drawing it in perspective, to get a feel for its 3D-ness. Because what we often run into as artists just starting out is we'll start drawing it onto the page, and we'll be coming at it from almost this 2D point of perspective, like this 2D mindset, where we're viewing it almost as what it is, which is a picture, a flat picture, but we're not really understanding it as a 3D object, which is what we're trying to give the illusion of it as being. Do you get what I'm saying?
I think I know what you're saying now. So always, like you mentioned, don't think of it as a 2D picture. Always think of it as a 3D picture, something like that.
Understand those basic forms, because, and that goes for the head and the body as well, the full human body, because if you that will make it so easy to imagine it from different perspectives on its own. If you're thinking about the head as being a complete head and you try to start turning that in your head, like in your imagination, or the human body, you're thinking about it with all its anatomy and you're trying to like pose it in your head before you try to draw it down, that's going to be really difficult to do. So simplify it.
So simplify it. So with the top half being a sphere and the bottom half being like a trapezoid or something like that. Okay,
yeah,
that makes
pretty
more
much
sense.
On a basic
and then
level,
and then one more question, because I know obviously you guys are tight right now. Like, I've been trying to get into comic book style art for quite some time, even though I've only been 2 years at it. I'm curious, like, besides, like, I guess, like, what I'm trying to ask is, like, how do I implement comic book style art into, like, my own, I guess, like, studies, or, like, into my own comic book or anything like that?
Really, the way to do that is to do studies of comic work. I rather recommend that you do gesture drawings. And just pick up a comic, whichever it is that you like, whichever, you know. And Clayton, you mentioned Joe Mad. It's such a great choice for gestures.
Something like this as well, like a graphic novel as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And then just draw very, very simple gesture drawings of the figures in that book, and you don't do all of them really, or you know,
pick out a few
ones, and then you really want to work on anatomy. And Robert was talking about the anatomy for sculptors. I think that's a great thing to look at, because you really want to get that anatomy down, and look at how beautiful that all looks.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't there a book?
Look at the breakdowns.
Oh, that's
Oh, wow.
See, like this, it's learn. Oh my, don't know where I'm pointing. The spine of scapula right there, right? See that? It's learning little rhythms like that go a long ways into drawing more complex areas. So for me, like drawing the trapezius right there is it was a nightmare to. I'm starting to get it, but it's still a nightmare. But if locating the spine of scapula, what I'm saying is landmarks can do a lot for you, like getting the curvature of the clavicles,
Right, yeah.
and thinking about the jugular fossa or the little indents. You get those landmarks going, all of a sudden it's like a cool connect the dots, and that's everywhere on the body. That's why bony landmarks are a really good thing to study.
Yes,
and rhythms.
And then once you have a sense of that, and it's a huge study unto itself, but it's essential. Then you can start to look at artists that draw anatomy well, or draw anatomy in a way that you like, and see the things that because clearly they've had to go through the same process, and you can see where they've kept those rules and maybe broken some, and you start to make decisions based on the artist. Like for me, I'm a huge fan of Alan Davis, and there are a few things that he does with his anatomy that I picked up, and then a few things that I didn't take because I was also looking at Mark Silvestri, and he did this, and I liked how he did that. So it really, your style becomes a mix of all those different artists, but you have to do studies of their work in order to pick that up.
And I also asked because I saw another Clayton Barton post about like simplifying drawing eyes, and Clayton, this is about compliment when I say this, but like it felt like Western art meets like anime or manga of some sort. So that kind of like caught my attention. That was another reason why I asked. And obviously you guys are short on time, so like that's all the questions I have. But if you do get a chance, I think you guys should follow Jake Bartek. He's a illustrator. I don't know if you guys heard of him, but he's a illustrator. He does a lot of medieval Star Wars stuff. I think you guys would like him for sure. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Jake Bartek. So, right. Take a look.
Check him out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, Aman.
Thank you guys. And I apologize about
coming
that.
back. No, it's all right. It happens.
That mishap. So thank you.
Technical
very much, guys.
difficulties are part of the live stream phenomenon.
Right.
So, yeah, thanks,
Awesome.
buddy. All right.
Awesome. Do I just say leave studio right here?
I'll just click remove. Just act.
Gotcha. All
Just
right.
act like you're going to say something.
All right. Goodbye.
There we go. That was a joke. Thanks, Aman. You're a good sport. Okay, one more and then we're done. Right?
All right.
Yep.
Okay,
Sounds
here we go.
good.
John? Hello?
Yeah. Hello.
Okay, do you got some artwork to show us?
Yeah, but the thing was, before I was trying to, I never used this before.
Okay.
I clicked on share, then I clicked on slides, then I clicked on your computer. I have 3 scans, but it's in JPEG and PNG.
Okay.
It does not. It said the file's does not work or something like that.
Can you share your screen? Are they on your screen?
How do you? Okay, share.
Yep, the share. And
Share
then if
screen.
you-
Okay.
Yeah.
So how does that work?
I should just be
So
able to
click on share screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share full screen.
Oh man, I get to meet Clayton and David. You guys. I know Clayton. Before. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
Sorry about that. Just getting
Small world,
shot.
right?
I'm nervous.
That's
Oh my
okay.
God, I'm
Me
shaking
too.
right
It
now.
doesn't go away.
Yeah, my voice is a little shaky. Click on share.
Yeah.
Share screen. Yep.
Oh, okay. Oh, it doesn't highlight. There's no highlight on that. It's only cancel. What's wrong with this thing?
Giselle is saying, Joan,
Oh,
go to
don't
settings.
go to settings. Wait. He's telling me how to do this. I asked him in the private chat how to do it.
Giselle has actually got his figured out.
Oh, does he?
Yep.
So you gonna take it?
Where did you see that?
I saw it pop on the corner
Okay,
of the screen.
it says show advanced options. There's audio, virtual background.
Hang
Show
on a
advanced
second.
options.
If you go down to share screen at the bottom, so
Yeah, I told me to go to settings.
No, it should be share screen is directly in the bottom of the window, right in the center.
Right.
yeah, not in your settings.
Right. So
Yeah,
if
I
you-
know the share, plus
and that's
sign.
really all you need. So if you press
Yep.
that, then it'll give you a drop down menu, and you can
click on
select-
slides.
No, do share entire screen.
Oh, share entire screen.
At the very bottom, it'll be
Yeah,
the
share
bottom
screen.
option.
Okay, so
Yeah.
And make sure to select not window but screen, because if you select window and you
Oh,
open up
okay.
another window, it won't show up.
I see. It says entire screen. It's already there.
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah.
And
So
so
what do I
click it.
do?
Click
Click
then you
it.
have to, and then you have to click the blue share button.
That's not. It doesn't get highlight on that. It's all grayed out.
You have to click the screen first. Click the screen you want to share.
There it goes. Sorry. The first
There
time.
you go.
Oh,
Awesome.
So how do I do it now?
Okay, so now you want to put the artwork on that screen. Here, I'm going to put add to stream so you can see it. It's all our glorious faces and the chat.
You're
And
in
then,
the show. Everyone can see.
Now
and
you want
hear
to,
you.
yep, you want to bring that artwork to this window right here.
I have it in my file. How do I bring it there?
Just open it up
File
so you
open.
can see it, and then just drag it to the window.
Oh, just click on the that screen.
Yeah, just open it. Well, open it up on your computer.
Oh,
on
on
your
the
screen.
computer. Sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you got to put in somewhere. Okay, here it goes.
No, there you go. See,
There we
can
go.
see it
Okay.
now.
I don't
we're
do
good.
comic book pages. I just like doing illustrations.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
fine.
but
Yeah,
I got
that's
into
okay.
comics. Okay, so
So you-
this stupid word.
There you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, I've seen your work before, Jung.
Oh,
I know
yeah?
you.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you're
know,
on,
yeah.
you're on the howtodrawcomics.net
This
site,
is my
right?
old work, but I have some little new ones. Yeah.
Or Facebook group, I mean.
Should I blow it up more?
No,
Sure.
no,
Or
this one,
maximize the window.
I fixed it. This one I fixed it because I fixed a lot actually. Pretty good.
So,
How'd I
I
blow
mean,
this up?
you've always had a very established style, Jung.
Yeah. Sorry.
Um,
I had a Spider-Man there that poked into the katana sword, but I took it out because I didn't like the drawing of the mask. And now I see there's something wrong with it. Oh my gosh, it's too late. Yeah, yeah, I see it now. Jesus. I'm showing this. You can only see partial. As I move, you can see it, right?
Yeah.
I'll show
And
you
can,
slowly.
And you can maximize your window, which will make it a little
Oh, I
easier.
could? Oh.
Yeah, that
yeah,
middle
you can make it bigger. There you
rectangle.
go.
Yeah.
Okay, I show
You
you.
can't see us, but we can see you. Don't
Right.
worry.
But you're seeing a top right now, right? The hands and the
Yeah,
head.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm gonna scan that. I'm gonna scroll down.
Yeah, that's good. You got a very graphic style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
I like
nice
the.
tones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mine's the kind of greedy style. That's why I like the Finch stuff.
Yeah, good use
Then
of
also,
good use of volumes
Clayton
and
has that
forms.
too. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
This is my version of well, he doesn't have a tongue. I don't like drawing tongues, so I took it out.
Okay, cool.
This is one of the work. What do you think? I don't know. There's something right? There's something wrong.
There is a slight flavor of Simon Beasley in your work.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Oh my god.
A
I
little
like
bit.
him, but he's a hit or miss for me.
And Del Keown.
Dale Keown,
Yeah.
yes. My
Good,
favorite artist
yeah.
right now, the comic book artist, top 3 is David Finch, Dale Keown, and Jim Lee.
Well, thank you very much.
And the painter, I like Glenn Fabry, Mark Zug, Craig Staples. Simon Beasley's hit or miss. I sometimes I like his, sometimes I don't. So,
Yeah, I think just in the thickness of his arms there, and maybe
Yeah.
their proportions, I'm feeling that come across, and in the shape and stuff. But as far as your rendering finish, that's something quite unique to you, I would say, Jung. At least in the artists.
Someone
I've
told
come
me my
across.
stuff is what's unique about it, but I'm shading just like everyone else, isn't it?
No, and yes, but no, it really is. It's
What do you mean? I'm shading. I'm just. It's dark
very
and light.
sensitive, and I don't know. It'd be difficult to describe. I really like how that symbol, the subtle lights that you have there they're very, very volumetric, but
Where-
kept also very flat too. So
Where do you see that?
just on his symbol on his chest.
Oh,
It's not just it's darker, but it also you're picking up some some lights there on his
Yeah.
hand, the lower hand, which is off the screen
Lower
right now. But some of the lighting on there, I thought just in the wrinkles of that thumb there, really, really nicely done. It's a very, very different style for sure, but it just has a pleasing kind of a feel to it when you do that. I think you do it really nicely.
Is that Simon Beasley? Someone? I mean, wait.
To me, that wouldn't remind me of Simon Bisley at all.
I
I agree that there's
He
Simon
works
Bisley for
hit
sure,
and
but
miss a little bit.
not in that aspect, and I wouldn't know what to compare that to. Very
Well, I
interesting.
looked at a lot of your work, David, and Jim Lee and Dale Keown.
Yeah,
As a comic book artist. Like,
yeah, and I do see some Dale Keown in the way that when he'll do those fully pencil rendered Hulk shots that are really shaded. He's got that style where he sometimes overshades the pencil work, and that's how you're conveying the forms with that kind of real good sense of confidence with the volume of the forms.
Yeah.
So I do kind of see that connection there.
Is something wrong down here?
Yeah, that's got to take a while to render like that.
No, I do prefer.
15 minutes?
I'm used to it. That's why.
Yeah.
10 minutes. I was all done.
I use 0.5 lead pencil. It's
Okay.
It keeps it sharp all the time. It's really nice.
Wow. Yeah, it doesn't even look like that'd come out of a 0.5 mechanical pencil.
No?
It doesn't.
Why?
I don't know. It looks like charcoal or something. I don't know. I know I couldn't shade like that.
Yeah. There's like there's a shell-like appearance to this Venom, like almost like he's I don't know, covered in scorpion armor or something,
Right.
especially
Yeah,
on his belly.
exoskeleton kind of thing.
Oh.
That's good.
Before this, I had it much lighter, but later on, I changed my mind to trying to make it black, but I don't want to black it out.
Right.
Yeah.
So I made it darker than before, but you'll not see that because it's darker. And
I think that's pretty good as is.
In the background, I use my finger to smudge it a bit. So
yeah,
a little dirt, like smoke. I don't know. And
it works.
More of that artsy fartsy stuff where you smudge it around with your finger like a real artist.
Yeah.
No, keep it up, man. Looks cool. Do you got another one to show us, or was it just this one?
Yeah.
Okay, let's.
Oh no, I have two more to show. I want to show it to you.
Okay.
It's okay. Okay. All right. And then
I just want to hurry up for these guys. They've been really good with their time, and I feel bad. And
okay.
I don't want to hold them up. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is
I'm gonna have nightmares again.
Yeah, demon. Sorry.
Yeah, good. I guess.
That is scary.
That's freaky, man.
Yeah, sorry. This is a 0.5 lead. I did it on a drawing paper, 80-pound drawing paper.
Holy shading.
Yeah. Yeah, I like shading.
Yeah.
That word, it means something, but I forgot.
I don't even want to know what it means.
It's some kind of demon writing, but I put it into words.
Those eyes are creeping me out, man.
I love the eyes. They are good.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is a Melphus. You know that, right? You know Melphus?
A what?
Melphus. Melphus is a demon that's behind the Annabelle doll.
Oh,
he's the
okay.
one. He's the one who's controlling Annabelle doll to latch onto you and take your soul.
They showed that in the movie. I saw the movie. I don't remember.
TMI, man. TMI.
I use this as a reference actually, but I pick it from here. Then I just made it to my own.
Yeah,
I think yours is better.
Yep.
You like it?
Yours is
I made the eyes
scarier.
different. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
It's
Right.
really, it reminds me a lot of like a kind of an LA sort of pop art style. You know,
Oh
something
yeah, graffiti almost.
really, really nice.
Like really intense graffiti.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm sure
Awesome stuff. I like all the wrinkles and like the
Oh, yeah.
details in his skin. It's
Yeah,
very
the forms and
textured.
volumes and the wrinkle. Yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah,
the lead pencil, I use that only. So
Wow,
it's good.
that's
Now when you
another one,
see some artwork or you create some artwork and it's almost too eerie, you're like, oh.
I have like two more. I have three more, but I just show you one, I guess. I don't know which one to show.
Yeah,
I guess
just
I'll
one
go
more,
with this
bud.
one.
We gotta get it. Okay.
That one's cool.
Totally different style.
Yeah, this one I got it from one of your tutorials, the one in the back, the ripped up cloth.
Oh
You did
yeah.
one of the
Oh,
tutorials.
yeah.
Yeah, I used this.
Yeah.
It fits with this guy, I guess.
I like this guy. What's the
Cool.
story behind him? Is he half liquid or
It's like I have
mutated?
like a almost. Well, it became like a chrome. Then I put that this thing, then it becomes like different, like a metal kind of like
Yeah.
liquid metal. I don't know. And
That's
the
great.
other one is he's like another Two-Face.
Yeah, that's cool.
Very nice.
Sorry.
Nice.
Blow it
Nice
up.
work, Jung.
Yep, great textures.
Yeah.
And
I mean-
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's difficult to critique your work because you've got such a established style. Like it's
Oh, Really?
It is very, very much. I mean, I can tell you've been doing this for quite a long time, and you've really been polishing your style for some time.
Yeah. But there's nothing to say.
Okay, well, I will tell you that
Something wrong.
with the anatomy, I do think that there are places where it's not quite as accurate as it could be.
Mhm.
It is not bad. I will say, generally speaking, you're kind of connecting a lot of your anatomy quite a bit, which is why that first figure looked almost like it had an exoskeleton. And it's because like on the legs, you're really connecting those lines all the way through. So you're defining the full muscle. So you really want to focus a little bit more just on connection points and open it up, which you did on the stomach there, the lower stomach. And, so a little bit more emphasis on that and not drawing too many.
You mean on the both sides or just one side?
What you want to just work on connection points more, and then for the length of the muscle, just as much as you could lose that line. If you have a really heavy shadow, that's fine. But otherwise, if you just really focus on connection points, it makes things look much more believably like you're getting shadow as opposed to separate pieces that are connected together, like a bit more of a jigsaw. And it's a very common thing with artists that have a really good sense of anatomy, but it ends up looking like you're drawing a figure without clothing or without skin. So you're just seeing the muscle. So I would say there is a certain aspect of that there that I think you could work on a little bit.
When you say connection points, you mean like something like this, like the deltoid connects to the chest? It's just not connected too well, something like that.
Here, let me show you, because it's a really easy thing to just.
Okay, let me see what
show you what I mean.
Shrink it down. See what you do. So I'm not too sure on the connection point.
So I've got a muscle here.
Yeah.
I've got a muscle here, and I'll draw another one here. And imagine that's actually done properly. And so a connection would be between these muscles here. So I'm going to kind of shore that up. I've got another connection here. This is where, and I'll draw another one here. And now if I just take my white out and if it was working properly, working, but imagine this is working properly. I'm just making a mess, making it worse. But you could even lose these lines here and just focus on just these connections. And that will really give you the sense of a full anatomy without connecting all your muscles to the point where it looks like an anatomy diagram. And so I'm just seeing some of that happen.
Make it light, make some of the lines lighter, skip some lines, stuff like that.
Yeah, just a little bit more. So you're focusing on just those little pockets of shadow.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's the best example because I used a pen.
No, I understand. I vision in my head right now. I know what you mean exactly. I think I'm doing that. Some of my I have my new work. I think I'm doing that a bit in my new work.
I don't
know if I show you.
Okay.
It's my Batman. Sorry. I'm just still working on it, but.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah,
and I do agree. I think that. That's done better there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's that's progress with every picture, which is great. It's still a really interesting design, kind of a flavor. Look, it's very interesting.
So you could see some of it. I am doing what you're saying, actually.
Yeah, absolutely, you are for sure.
Yeah.
This one somehow I'm doing it that way. I don't know, and I think it's coming out. I like how it looks, so I just keep going with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to see. I had the criticism and you fixed it
that quick.
Yeah, I know that's fast. This is my latest work, so.
All right, keep it up.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, so thanks, Jung, very much for joining us, and keep up the hard work. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank you for meeting you guys.
Yeah.
My God, I'm nervous.
You too.
Yeah.
Good work,
us too. They just hide it. They just hide it better.
When is your next one? I don't know what time you come on.
Well, it has been. How long has it been, Robert? Since
months. We'll try to get on some sort of schedule, but it's tough. Yeah. We're all running our own channels and websites.
But every time is different time.
Yeah, we'll try to figure something out. I'll try to do a better job at inviting everyone and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll keep you posted.
But
All right.
yeah, for my part, I've certainly
I think 6
tried
o'clock
to
is
do
better.
it quicker, and hopefully, hopefully we can all make this happen.
And also, David, you said there's one of your Monday night live. You say you want to do it with Dale Keown. You want to maybe have him in your
that'd
video.
be sweet.
I've been watching Dale Keown going to other people's comic YouTube.
Yes,
doing like 2
That's
hours.
hilarious. That dude's
now
hilarious.
I know he is. I would really want.
He looked like a rock guy. I didn't know
I would
how
want
he
him
looked.
to draw something. Oh, I've known Dale Keown for a long time. I would want him to draw something, and I'm not sure. Not everybody is comfortable with that. So that's kind of.
He's Canadian.
Because
He's
really,
like
it's a drawing
mixed
stream.
field, pretty much.
I don't have anything interesting to say, so I want to draw together.
He lives in
So,
Canada too. Like
yes,
you
yeah.
know,
he's just
invite him over to your house or something and do it.
Yeah, I watched the video where he talked about going over to Todd McFarlane's house. It was hilarious. Have you seen that clip?
No, I don't.
Oh, look it up. It's funny. The way he explains it, that guy's funny. But it'd definitely be a treat to see him draw on your channel, Dave, for sure.
Yeah,
sure would.
Trying to connect with him somehow and bring him into the.
I will see what I can do.
All right. Thanks, Jung. Talk to you later, bud. Yep.
See you later, John. Bye-bye.
And then Giselle got their camera working, but again, I don't want to put you guys out.
I don't know if he's ready. Let's do it. He
last one then.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Clayton. I just spoke for you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
Sorry, Clayton.
No, that's all good.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Especially you, David. Thank you so much. So now that I got this figured out here,
especially David.
Yeah, guys,
I'm out here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Marzullo. I'm sorry. So just not to take up too much time. So this is the first panel of the sequentials here. It's still a work in progress. I literally started this as soon as your announcement came up, so I wanted to get these out as quickly as possible. So I only had like just one really finished page. So that's the first panel. Second panel. Third panel. Can you see it okay?
Oh yeah, we can. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, wonderful. That was for sure the
Well,
quality.
Kind of reminds me of some Sam Keith work.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Thank you there. He's actually a big influence on me, among others. The approach here was to take somewhat of a Wallace Wood and what is the other gentleman's name? The guy who did the Hanna-Barbera character designs for Johnny Quest. I can't think of his name right now. It's Alex Toth. Alex Toth.
Okay.
He did Care Bear designs? Alex Toth, really?
Oh, I'm sorry, not Care Bears. I meant to say Hanna-Barbera. Alex Toth and Wallace Wood.
Now, I have to admit, I didn't know that Alex Toth did that at all. I didn't know. It shows you what I know. But yeah, very, very cool. Like I'm going to say, I think that you could do better because I think that you could spend a little bit more time because I can see the talent there and I can see like the things that are working. Your line is nice and clean. I really like her face, and those hands, by the way, are really, really strong. It's a good figure. Like there are really good things. I feel like that figure in the second panel is maybe it's exaggerated a little too far. That's further than somebody could really. I think that you could theoretically maybe get into that pose, but not running, and not with that foot up like that. You'd really have to have your weight down on it in order to do that. And even then, it's difficult. I've tried yoga. My wife made me do it. That feels like what I was trying to do with yoga, and I couldn't get that far on the ground. So I would say it's a little too far. I think that face, the next panel, really interesting. I like it. It's very oddly cut at the eyes, though. Something I really wouldn't recommend doing.
Okay.
And you've got the ears kind of flying in the wind, which is very cool. Then the larger face with the shadow on it, I feel like the shadow is not working. And the face itself is good, but the shadow definitely needs a little bit of work. It looks like you've kind of got some rendering for it in there, but it's not really realized as shapes. And you really want to think of your shadow more in terms of shapes, or at least in the way that I understand it. And, unfortunately, I can only critique that way. So, maybe Clayton or Robert have a more insight into that, but to me, it looks not realized for sure. And I think inked, it would accentuate that. So the things that are strong, I think, are strong enough that I feel like you should be taking more time, because I think you could do better just based on what I'm seeing here.
Understood. I thank you, sir. The intention was to try to replicate motion, because I was more so just trying to, because I know it's not really a finished piece. It was just more so just to demonstrate my storytelling capabilities, because you have her starting from here, running from some unknown figure, and then it just kind of like just backtracks until you see her in full, and then she realizes that she's down to one arrow, and then the creature is close up approaching her.
All right.
So that was the intention.
Yeah. So I was a little bit stuck on what was going on there for a second. So this is probably a good little observation in regards to storytelling to keep in mind.
Yes, sir.
So in the first two panels, she's running away from something, although that's not entirely obvious until we get... See, it's actually, she could be running toward or away from something at this point. In the second panel, I wasn't sure what was happening. Is that just a close-up of her face, just running?
Yes, it's supposed to be a progressive close-up.
Gotcha. And so I saw her ears, and part of me wondered, by the end of the page, is she turning into the werewolf? Like, is she being hunted by hunters? Is that an arrow in her shoulder? Like, has there been hunters that have been like firing arrows at her? So basically, in terms of storytelling, if there's a particular narrative you want to get across to the viewer, you want to try to get it across, tell the story, and I hate to say this, but tell the story as if they're a little bit clueless. You know what I mean? Because us as the writers, we assume a little bit too much sometimes that the reader knows what's going on. And we don't always include the cues that need to be there in order for the viewer and us to be on the same page, if you understand what I mean. So what I'm saying is include as much information as possible so that the reader can't miss a beat. Now, of course, there's storytelling styles, like who's the guy who did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul? Vince Gilligan or something, I think. Now, what I've noticed with his script writing is he will start out with a really obscure thing that's happening within the scene. You're like, what is going on here? And slowly but surely more and more is revealed, and you're like, oh, okay. Like the latter gives context to the former. The storytelling like that, of course, but unless you're specifically going for that effect, in your situation, I assume it's not, because I feel like I'm misinterpreting that. I wasn't sure what was going on until you said that there was a wolf after her and she was the one shooting the arrows at the wolf.
Well, to be fair, it is a work in progress, so that's totally understandable. Technically, what was going on here is that she was being chased by a bear.
Okay.
Oh, right.
There's the reveal, yeah.
There's the reveal, yeah.
Yeah, this panel was intended to be to lead you into the next page there. Correct, sir. And then the reveal would be this gigantic bear.
Yeah. But yeah, Clayton makes a really good point. Sometimes you have to think as simplistic as possible, and then you also want to eliminate frames that just don't carry the story forward. So if it's a little bit of fluff and you can acknowledge that, then you can pull it right out of there. You really want to just get the essentials going, and you should be able to really flow through it without the wording, So sometimes it's thinking quite simply, as simple as possible.
Yes, sir.
But it's good looking. You got some good looking stuff. One of the things I even like the bear there. Obviously it still has a lot to be finished, but you've got the base shapes are looking good. And one of the things I liked about the previous panel was the close up on the eyes. I see so many people mess up, and myself included. That's a tough eye shot right there. and you totally nailed the shapes in that really well for the eyes.
Thank you, sir.
So you got some really good shape language going. I think I agree with Dave. Like you need to look at the shape language for the shadows a bit differently. It can really, excel your work quite considerably. So pay attention to that. One of the things that he explained in one of his videos a long time ago that resonated with me was drawing in the shadows instead of just shading them in, because sometimes when you draw them in, you start to recognize the shapes a little bit more easily, and you can there's actually a lot of consistency in shadows that you wouldn't notice right away, right? Wouldn't you guys say? There's actually consistent shadow shapes. I mean, you definitely stylize them, but you start to realize there's highlights are kind of in generally similar spots and things like that. And
yeah, that's why certain lighting setups get specific names, like the butterfly lighting or whatever, because those shapes become recognizable and reoccur in similar lighting conditions.
And I think when you draw the shapes of them, that becomes very memorable. You can memorize that a bit better. Where if you're just shading, I don't know, it's a different way to do it, I guess. But yeah,
I understood. I'll definitely keep that in
way
mind.
to go for comics. I think and you have a very graphic style, so I think more graphic shading, and it's isolated too, because in the third panel, a lot of that shadow work is really well delineated and crisp. So I would just make sure to extend that kind of work to everything else. I really like how some of it is kind of coming out into, it's almost rendering a little bit. It's interesting. So, I think it's there. It's just that one panel where you kind of lost it with some shadow that just started getting a little bit not placed. And then I'm also noticing and I know that this was a little quicker, but on that panel, you're showing the third panel there and the second panel, things are zipping by really fast, so you have it kind of blurred. But what you have there is too sketchy, and truthfully, to blur something like that properly, you really need to kind of use a ruler, and it takes a little bit of time, and it's a hassle to do it right. But the alternative is to end up with something that can work with a pencil because you went very, very light, so it doesn't really show up. But in order to make that work for a finished page, like for a comic, it would have to be really reworked. Like an inker would have to completely reinterpret it.
And if you do want to, if you're like insistent on having that effect, find another artist. Probably a manga artist would even be the better option. Because I've noticed that they do a lot of kind of blurry-ish effects with their stuff, like with swords coming down and swinging. Look at an example that you like, which you think is executed well, and then imitate that, basically, rather than trying to come up with it yourself, because sometimes us just trying to come up with it on our own, it doesn't always get the right visual across in the way that we're intending. But yeah, just consistency of style. There is a few different variations of your style here. You've got kind of the rendered style, you've got the clean cut shadow style, and then you've got just the gorgeous line art style there without any of the rendering or shadows. So figure out which one you like best. And I think, I agree with Dave. You got a really cool graphic thing going on with your style. So I'd lean into that a little bit more, looking at artists like, we've mentioned Joe Mad, but there's also, a ton of other artists out there that go in that direction with their work.
Absolutely.
Yep. Beautiful stuff. I love the female figure. She's great.
Thank you so much. I actually, personally, I was a little self-conscious about it. I definitely try to practice on that daily, just to make sure I get it down right. But thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, you're
welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess at this point it'd be a little bit unfair for me to say this because this is still a work in progress. With what you've already told me, once I do get it completed, would you say that this is adequate to attempt to break into the comic book business?
Well, what I would say is you want to take a little bit of time to, hopefully take in some of what we said and try to incorporate that into maybe, something. And It depends on where you want to go too, because different publishers have different requirements. So Marvel and DC tend to want something generally. I mean, obviously there are exceptions, but they want something that's a little more realistic, something that kind of in an Ivan Rice sort of a vein. Marvel. I always think of the template Marvel artist to be. I'll forget it. I can't think of it every single time. But whatever. Marvel really has their own house style, and I don't know of a publisher really that is publishing comics that look quite like that. And that is a challenge, truthfully. And I would hate to advocate, oh, hey, change the style that you're doing and do something different in order to pursue a particular publisher, because, it's art too. But I do think that there are some things that you really do need to work on, I think, before you would be ready. But, the things that are working are really strong. Like, there's a good foundation. Those hands are really nicely done. I really like the eyes, like what Robert was saying. They're really nicely done. But the things that are not working, they definitely need to be improved.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll keep that in mind. Thank you, gentlemen.
Don't be in a rush to try and start working for a publisher either. Like, if you need to spend the next 5 years just really honing your skill set, take it. I mean, and who knows? But by that point, you might be just getting requests. You might be getting enough requests to do commissions or work on independent books, or heck, you might even have enough of a following to self-publish. And then you can do whatever you want then, if people are willing to buy it. So if you try to skip ahead now and you let it break your heart if you're not accepted into a publisher and you give up, like, certainly don't go down that route. Take the time you need. It's art. Not many people get to a masterful level because of that reason. So do what it would take for you to deserve to be there.
Yes, sir.
What lengths are you willing to go to? That's the question. So how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? Just ballpark. Are you like a young artist?
I'm turning 33 this year.
Yeah, right. So you're like my age. So you got heaps of time to, like, if you study really hard for the next year or two, your skill set will skyrocket. You're at a pretty good level already. I've seen way worse art than this. So
thank you.
Yeah, you'll get there.
Yep. And just remember, if you might set your sights on working for these big guys, but that's not the only route. You could self-publish. You can develop your own following. That's a great opportunity for artists today, and you can do your own style. What's that saying? Don't go where the path may lead. Instead, go there is no path and leave a trail, right? So you might just make your own trail. Never take anything off the table. Yeah, because stylistically, you might go really far. And like Dave said, there's these certain styles that they really deem worthy for what they're trying to make products and publish a certain thing. If you don't fit that little cookie cutter scenario, that doesn't mean you're out of the game. There's a lot of opportunities for just being creative. So thanks very much for showcasing the work today. It's looking good. Keep it up, and hopefully we'll see you on another one, okay?
Yes, sir. And gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. You all have yourselves a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Giselle. You too.
Okay. All right. I know you guys are tired because I'm tired. Well, Clayton's not. He's just getting started. He just needs some lunch.
I need a coffee.
I can't do another coffee, but I just want to thank you guys very much for, again, being so gracious with your time and participating. Just awesome. Very cool of you. Thank you.
You're welcome, Robert. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime.
It's an honor.
Yeah, this has been great. Sorry for being on here for 3.5 hours with my camera unfocused. I really should have just got up one.
You just hit a button. Hit the button.
It's got a lens. I just haven't
got you got the fancy one.
Yeah.
I didn't notice. Don't worry, Dave.
Yeah, here, I get you all zoomed in. Is that better? There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
That's why I'm focused.
So sharp and crisp.
I know. And then that one guy I can't remember his name, but he hopped on. You could tell right away he had a fancier camera. I'm like, hey, it's not fair.
Yeah, get out of here. That was
show off. But so it was some good art. There was definitely some real talent. I feel like I always learn just as much as everybody else from you guys and from looking at everybody else's work. It's just, I don't know. It's inspiring. Just reminds me of going to the comic shows and standing in those lines and, waiting for somebody like Dave to look over your work and be like, You suck, kid. Go back to the drawing board. All right, maybe not that harsh.
You know what? No, I've gotten that. I've gotten conventions and got pretty much exactly that. So
exactly.
Happens to us all.
Got a cigar hanging out of his mouth. But yeah, all right. So again, everybody for watching, I just want to say, make sure you check out the links in the description box below. You can support David's art book. Obviously, subscribe to both their channels. They're on my featured channels list. I'm sure if you're watching this channel, you already know that. And then support Kozar for Clayton. Again, those links are in the description box. And is there anything you guys want to say in closing?
Well, I would just say thank you, everyone, for coming and showing your work. I know it's not easy to show and not fun to get criticism. But that's how we all grow. And we really appreciate that you guys have the courage to show it and some beautiful work today.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Thanks so much, everyone. It's been a blast.
All right. So we'll call this one, call it quits. And I need some sleep, obviously. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. More on the way soon.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.